actually you don't matter that much to other people, you know? Not in the way that you think you matter to other people.
Yeah, not really.
Right?
Yeah.
Because most people don't care about you.
A couple times in my life, like it happened where I got properly angry to the point where I lost control of my body physically, and that was scary.
Okay, what kind of game am I playing right now? I don't know, but I am definitely playing.
You're playing, you're up to some games, dude. You look shifty as hell. Imagine how much we've been aware of, like how much this world changed even just throughout our lifetime, dude. It's been a roller coaster.
Freaking intense, man. It's just basically there's
Wild.
no mercy, no, you know,
No.
basically if you lose, you lose.
It's the jungle, bruh. Hello, everybody. Welcome
Hello.
to
Welcome to
another
the void.
episode of Deep Fried Spork. This is officially number 11, technically number 12, and truthfully number 13. If you keep in mind the episode 0, the epicenter.
Well, episode 0.
can't
Oh,
forget about that.
it's never gonna leave the archive.
It's
okay?
part of the canon at this point.
Yeah, just as the secrets that they hold in the White House that they're never gonna release.
Yeah,
We have stuff that we're never gonna be releasing.
it's
that.
in a nuclear
no
bunker.
Way. Yeah.
At this point. But yeah, I wanted to explore one topic. We haven't done a deep dive into a thing in a while, and the convos from the last one really kind of inspired me to dig into this one because it was already on my list to check out. But we started talking about a lot of elements of it last episode, and I thought that was the perfect opportunity to dive deep into the topic of the game, the concept of a game.
Of the game.
Yeah, think
Wow,
about
that's-
how vast of a concept that is. And I realized I never really thought about it in appropriate detail because it's a complex concept.
Imagine when a human being first understood the concept of a game, right?
Mm.
It's a mind-blowing thing to realize.
What is it?
Like,
Yeah, what is...
hold on.
Yeah.
This is what is going on.
What's going on?
This is what's going on. Because think about it, right? If you, okay, the most of the low-hanging fruit is, for example, dating, right? It's a game.
Yeah.
That's the whole thing. Like, imagine if you can go through it without realizing it. But for those who are smart enough, when they see the patterns, they're like, okay, you know what? This is a game. You have settled rules. You have settled things that the players are like, you know, it's like playing poker. It's like, yeah, you have a certain cards.
It's
how are you going to play it?
Right? You have to
It is
pretend a
pretend.
lot. Yeah.
And that's kind of game is there's rule sets, right? You have to make rules because it's not just arbitrary. There has to be certain things that players agree on.
The other people agree on it, and you're like, yeah, we're going to play this game with these artificial rules, but why? Why play these games? Where do they come in life? Like, when does the game start?
I feel like part of it is maybe perhaps, and again, I have no clue in terms of if I'm right or at all, but I think part of it has to do with the human's desire to find order out of chaos. Because
Really?
when you have a game, you have to have rules, right? You have to have set
rules
up
and behaviors,
the boundaries by which this thing is happening. So meaning that you can measure the result, because otherwise you will not know, okay, what's happening, right?
But
what's
why do you
going
need
on
to do this in the first place? Like, why do you need to go through this process? What do you get at the end?
Because you can't act on anything without knowing the consequences or the result of such action, right? This is the process of learning. Why do you learn? You learn something when something happens, and you learn the consequences of.
But something happens. You
result.
play a game with a certain rules. Like, why do you engage in the game? What is the process of being a game? Because you know it's essentially just a dance that you are executing. Yeah, it's expected that you do these things and you get this result. But what kind of result are you looking for? Like, why not just not play any games? Like, you could live your life without playing games, right? You still comprehend everything and learn everything.
Well, I'm not sure. Because if you think about it, one could say that at least in the modern context, economies are a series of games. So if you're not participating in the economy, um,
So
then
economy is like it's still a game that you have to play,
it
right?
is a sensitive game. But then that means you're very compelled to play it because otherwise you're gonna have a really hard time trying to keep yourself alive without.
Yeah, well, otherwise you become like the worst case scenario if you really just this what you just decided, you know what? I really don't want to play this game. Whatever the consequences are,
Whatever the game
you're
is.
probably gonna end up homeless eventually, right?
Yeah,
That's what it looks like. Unless you're
because
some kind of genius, in some aspect, and you're able to like make really beautiful paintings that people buy from the street for $100 a day, and you're able to sustain yourself. Something like that. That's still genius. That's still like, I'd respect such a person more than most people. If it's somebody who decided to screw everything, I like drawing, I'm going to draw, I'm going to sell my drawings however much it costs and live for that, live for art. That's a dope ass artist.
yeah, but I still don't think that person could escape the game because there is something by
Still,
which
you
he's.
have to play a different game. This game is on
Yeah,
your more on your own terms, though. So you do technically choose it, and I'm like, yeah, you know what? It's fine. This thing is more important for me. I'm gonna play my own game, and I'm gonna see if I can, be winning in some way. Because we all have to find our own way of winning. That's what I realized is that the way you win the game is not by winning games, but by enjoying playing. So if you look for a way to enjoy playing every game, I think that's how you win.
there has to be the recognition that you are playing the games, right?
Yeah,
Because if
yeah.
one could go through life without realizing, oh, why are things happening this
That's
way?
where that's where you have to. It's a shift in the mindset, because to keep that in mind, it literally, I mean, it's possible. It's not too easy, but to imagine like, oh, this world is just a virtual game like I'm gonna play, as just so, because imagine if this was a virtual game and we're playing like a character this realistic, wouldn't you take risks and be like, what? How can I make this fun? Imagine your whole world is a sandbox and you believe it. You believe like this is a character, so the stakes are low. Like there's no resistance for you to try stuff and make outrageous choices, take risks. Why not? But that's what makes life interesting and fun. It's kind of trying new stuff and discovering new things.
Yeah, but that has to be where the person has to recognize that, okay, this is the sort of. Because I think when you don't establish that boundary of like, okay, I'm realizing I'm playing this game, I want to play this game. Some people, they will go through life and think basically they're like everything, they're afraid of everything because they don't understand the rules. They are like, oh, like I had to, the only thing they know is like I had to survive, right? I'm alive, I had to survive. But they're engaging life in not knowing these kind of how you could quantify these elements when that's happening within your life and how you could, because you need to contextualize them. When you just go through life without thinking about, okay, what does this element mean to me, that
Mm.
you're not internalizing the kind of relationship you have with
Well,
the world around you.
you can analyze things in an analytical manner like that, but like at what point does an activity cross the threshold from being just some random task to a game process?
I suppose there has to be testable results, right? Like the result of a game is there has to be um a winning situation or a losing situation, right?
Yeah,
That has to be
but
defined.
at what point do you consider the game as on? Like when do you, are you just doing some random task, and when is it a part of a game? How do you distinguish if the game is being played?
I don't think anything is random, right? We do things for a reason, essentially. I believe that we all do things for a reason.
Yeah,
Maybe
but
it's not
like
clear to us.
I'm talking about, like, say you're doing your job, right? Are you doing it as a game or not? You're not consciously approaching it as a game, because if you did make it into a game, you'd make it more fun. You'd make it different, because you wouldn't just be doing the same thing for 8 hours a day. You'd somehow spice it up. You'd make it fun for yourself, some way, right?
Yeah.
So I'm talking about that mind shift, mind mode shift, and I think there's definitely something to it. I can tell on myself, like I sometimes I'd get into this mood, yeah, what should I like? I should make this fun right now, and I'll do something random. I started doing that a little bit. It's kind of fun. Yeah, it's just kind of like being a pal to yourself, you know, like entertaining yourself. It's kind of strange, but it's pretty fun because it does work.
Yeah.
So you can consider yourself as like you're hanging out with yourself, and
Yeah, because I
you're trying to
think,
make a good time, like as if for
I mean,
another person, but for yourself.
a part of it is what the idea of play, right? Psychologists have dissected the idea that, children play, and that's their way of understanding the world by
Okay,
playing, by just exploring, right? By make scenarios and make beliefs, and that kind of is basically human beings' way of testing what the boundaries are, right? And it's perhaps it's innate, right? As human children, we just tend to play. You don't have to teach the kid how to play; they just play, right? They just kind of naturally are drawn into like, oh, what if I do this? What if I do that? What if And then they start learning more about the world, and consequently, also, I mean, kids just as they're growing up into adults, they just tend to be sadder because they realize that, oh, I can't do all the things I wanted to do. Because as a kid, it's just like your imagination just goes wild. You could just like, oh, anything is possible. But is that a reduction of possibility, right? But that's also the fact how you actually would gain the most potential by actually reducing your potentiality. Because when you just have, oh, I can do all things, but you're not settling on one aspect or a few aspects, then literally you're letting your energy dissipate. You're just not focused on the things that you can build and
okay,
just
but bring it back to the
essentially,
game.
well, that's why you're playing a certain sets of games, right? Like you need to limit to your, okay, which kind of game am I playing? Like I understand we're playing these, but you have to choose which one you're playing. It's almost like, okay,
Yeah, you can't
choose
play
to
them
play
all.
poker, or are you gonna, are you playing baccarat? What's the game that you're playing, right? There are specific rules
And
for each these.
there's so many games, dude, too. Like some people want you to play their games, and you're like, nah, I'm good.
But yeah, exactly. Everybody is playing their bets, right? Be like,
Yeah,
I wanna get something from this guy, so I gotta play my cards
yeah, but
right.
they're
It's
playing
like,
like different. There are different types of games. That's the crazy part. So some people are into different things. Some people into weird stuff. That's all that exists, dude. There's some stuff that is kind of sketchy that people are into, but there are whole communities for that.
yeah, because you can make all kinds of rules, right? This is why even if, imagine if you create a board game, you create the rules, and there are so many different games that you can invent, right? There's a whole prospect of what makes a game fun, what actually
Does
makes
it
it
does
into
a
a game.
game require rules, or does it only need constraints? Because rules is something that is definitive and can't be broken, but constraints is something that's more of a guideline.
Hmm.
More games that are with hard rules, or not necessarily, because a lot of games do seem like you could stretch the boundaries a bit and it's still everything. Like people get creative with how they can try and beat the opponent. They sometimes they test the edges of the rules, and like they invent new ways that get acceptable in the system.
Yeah, I suppose that's a good way to put it, right? Constraint as opposed to rules, because right is the thing that that you put around the game so that because it's always like yeah, it's true, like it's like a cat and mouse, right? Like some people always try to break the rules to gain an advantage, but there will be a reaction against that, so it's always being checked, right? Because you can think about how in terms of, for example, if a country says a certain activity is illegal, you're gonna
Hmm.
have people gonna do the whole underground black market thing because who are you to tell me not to do
Right.
something, right? So they will try to break the rule, and then the authority will find, oh, these people are finding ways to break the rules still. So
Yeah.
we need extra rules now. We need extra
Right.
security measures to keep these people not from doing
Yeah,
these.
yeah,
So
because they're finding new ways to do like a
you'll
business
find
on the
new ways to
side.
do it. And then it's like, whoa, this is like, you will not even, because some people can be very inventive. They'll invent some
Yeah.
really, to circumvent the
Find
kind
a
of measure that
loophole.
yeah,
Yeah.
find a loophole or find this and that, right? So
Smart
this
enough.
is, yeah, so all in what? In this context, it's all about money. right? All about of getting more currencies, some way, somehow, right? So that will become a game. Be like, okay, how can I maximize in my
Yeah. And then you kind of can see that how everybody's life is a game like that. When you zoom out like this
yeah
and you see like what you're trying to do, you're technically trying to do a bunch of these tasks in a specific way, in a specific order to get some benefit. That's
yeah,
totally
and
what
then
we do in games.
imagine a bank robber. Basically, the calculus is like, you know what? The normal route is too slow. So, he basically accept the fact that, you know what? I want to take a shortcut.
Hmm.
I do not want to go through the whole kind of
Yeah,
like
yeah,
the
yeah. It's
constraint
not
of
for
like,
me.
not for me. I'm not gonna slave away at a job just so
Yeah.
somebody else can take more money from me. No, I want to
Yeah,
get
he
rich
just
right
made that
now,
decision.
right?
He
So that's the
accepted that.
first thing you got to decide, and then
Yeah.
you got to figure out, okay, what's the tactic?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
How am I gonna get to that? So
You solve
you
that
start,
problem.
yeah. So
You
okay, so
specify
there's
a
a bank.
specific target.
Exactly, and then you kind of find a plan.
You
Your
project
strategy.
manage that
How
stuff.
you, yeah, you got to manage. Okay, so these are the facts. So how can I, play this game essentially
Yeah.
and gain the
Yeah.
treasure, right?
No matter
How do
what.
I?
Just
So
figure out a
right,
way, regardless of anything.
if there's a will, there's a way. Some people figure it out. It's just
Yeah.
how motivated are you?
Yeah. How smart you are.
It's just how willing are how far away you wanting to go.
Are bank robbing still happening in the world today? Is that even
I
possible?
still
That still
it
happens,
still
right?
happens. It
In
still
today's
happens.
days and age,
It's
still
getting
there are
more
people like, no,
complicated.
screw that. We need to get the money.
It's just getting more complicated, right? But there are so many ways in which people find these loopholes, and they're just like, oh yeah, we're gonna capitalize on that. The case I'm reminded of is how North Korea stole a lot of money from a bank that was in Bangladesh, all because they're a Muslim country. So their day of rest is different. Like
Okay.
I think they work on Sunday.
Yeah.
The I don't remember. It's like yeah, Sunday. Yeah, I think so. So there's a time difference between that money being
Hmm.
sent and the receipt being received at the
Okay.
U.S. in the U.S. Federal Reserve because of that time difference. So they capitalize on the fact that these people are Muslim. They observe a specific kind of holiday, a specific kind of um, weekend.
Schedule.
Their
Yeah.
weekends are different because of their religion. So everything is about finding it's the same idea of how in the stock market
Yeah, like not noticing what's happening.
you can only make money by arbitrage, finding the kind of the difference in price, right? So same idea. They're capitalizing on finding these mismatch. In this case, will be specific times, and they find that gap, that loophole, to try to get that money wired off before they found out something went wrong. So that's that whole aspect of like, you got to figure out, okay, what are the rules, or what are the constraints, what are the patterns and behaviors that people engage in, and you manipulate that to gain an advantage, right? And that's just basically, one could say that, yeah, that's the type of game people are playing. It's just more complicated and more sophisticated because it involves a lot more kind of because in this case, there's the whole modern banking system, the whole digital
Yeah, you need
aspect to
to
it. So you have to know
figure
how
out
to
how
hack.
to beat the system. Yeah, hack it
Yeah, how to
somehow.
hack the computer, how to, send a virus so they control their, electronic systems, and then how to, so it's all that process. I mean, it's just getting more complicated because that we're living in this modern world of so many different systems. Because back in the day, it's just very simple. There's a bank, you just rob it somehow, right? Now they're digital. Now you have to find a way to get that money transfers,
Yeah.
without having to do anything.
It's literally in a virtual world that if you know the
Yeah,
keys
it's just
to,
a
you can
number.
unlock the doors and get the
It's
money.
just a number. It's just a number on the screen, right? But that
Yeah.
can be transformed
Some
into
math
actual.
happens in the ether somewhere out there, and then you get actual money. But just
Yeah,
like completing this digital
which
quest.
is why everything is ridiculous if you think about it. Like if you think about
Yeah.
what humans do, it's like really, are we
So
really
much
doing this? This is
nonsense.
this is what everything is ridiculous,
Yeah.
right? All the things that we do are ridiculous,
All the games. Yeah.
but somehow you have to play. I mean, I suppose you get left behind if you don't. Or like you got to think about, okay, well, even if you invent your own games, you're still playing a set of this, right?
Would you
And
say
it's
the
just that
games are always invented or are they discovered?
you could invent games or you could
Definitely can
discover it.
invent games.
Yeah.
Because I played an exercise like that before where we had to invent our own game and invite other people at the that wellness retreat or psychology retreat I went on in Alaska. It was pretty interesting. Like it took some time to get, essentially you had to go back to how you felt when you were a kid, because that was the exercise to remember the games that you were playing as a kid and try to play them right now as adults. It's so weird, dude. It's so weird because everybody's like realize like I don't know how to be a kid, and they're like you try and then it kind of works, and everybody just becomes silly and plays some silly kids games and it's great. I was like, wow, that's like an accessible mentality to you that you can like access, and it does make things more fun if you kind of like play these games as a kid, because the fun part is just the interaction. There's different people also like trying to go along and figure out and seeing it if your game is fun. It's pretty cool. Like if you find a game, if you think up a game that other people's enjoy, you're gonna be a well-liked person because everybody likes playing fun games.
Yeah, it's part of the socialization
Hmm.
sort of aspect because you can cooperate, you can be competitive, you can, but that's remind me of game theory, right? The idea that there is a possible best result that you can achieve, but you have to essentially have a leap of faith that the other person are not going to betray you,
Right.
and is the whole sort of probability and kind of guesswork that goes into this sort of what makes it more almost exciting. Just the same idea that why would certain people gamble, right? Why would they go through gambling? It's just that something about humans kind of the way that we project possibilities, you know, and that kind of see how crazy is that? Like you can basically imagine in your mind, if I make the bet right now, right here,
Hmm.
I could win big. You
Yeah.
you you basically are dreaming in your head about the possibilities. You can get carried
Yeah.
away with that, right? And then you're like, oh, I'm gonna bet on this because I'm gonna win big. But again, that's all nothing. You base that on what? I mean,
It's very risky.
there's a probability, yes,
Yeah.
but
It's not
just as
guaranteed.
just as the future doesn't exist because there's only now, right? That the future is just a concept. But somehow, basically when you invent a game or playing a game, you do have to have an idea of, okay,
What the
what
future
if I
should look
win?
like.
Yeah, what will happen if I lose? What will happen if I win? Right?
How you
So you're
judge if you have the motivation to proceed with that plan of action.
yeah, so basically it's a gauge of how you manage your expectations, like what are the facts that you have control over and what you don't have control over, right? And it's all part of manipulating your environment, right? That humans are very good at this, right? We're manipulating every day you go out there, things are happening in the world, right? People are going to some place to be doing something, right? All for the sake of playing the game, the economical game that we're playing, right? Some people, their job is to make stuff that other people will buy, and that has no like. Okay, maybe it has some functions, the stuff that you sell, and some of them are just completely BS. It's just like selling on a hype, and then some people think this thing is fun. Oh, I'll buy it for the sake of I don't know the novelty, right? The whole economy is, I mean, yes, there are things being produced and made that make sense because we need it, but there are also things that are being made that are just completely nonsense. But all because people do these things because they're motivated to make money, right? Which is fueling their possibilities because once you have money, you can do things with it, right? You can literally um, buy the things that you desire if you have enough. And so everybody in their mind, we're all playing the money game here on the base
Right.
level. That's just kind of what was happening. And sometimes I don't know, the system are so, at least right now these days, are so lopsided that some people are cheating, right? They're like they have the ways to cheat the game, and they're winning more than you do, right? Just because they have the leverage to do so. So it's definitely not a fair game. It's a stolen game, but some of these games are not fair, right? They're like some people can have a massive advantage, and some people can have a mass disadvantage. So and everything in between. So you just have to figure out, okay, well, how do I manage this? Right? But yeah, it's a way of I just think that games, this idea of game is just how humans kind of maybe visualize, also understanding the world that they live in by kind of running simulations, right? You're simulating a
Okay.
experience, a sets of
Like most,
circumstance with
by default,
constraints.
people don't view life like that, right? They don't.
No, they wouldn't
You
think that,
don't
because
think
the thing
about life
is,
like that.
if you think it as a game, that else is almost like it's too meta. It's too meta to kind of think yourself as I am playing a game. It's like why am I playing a game? Like this isn't a life just life. Like why does everything have to be this kind of pretending things are, you know? Because in a way you kind of have to put yourself outside of your kind of, it's almost like living outside your body. Almost you have to kind of have a bird's eye view of yourself, and that can change people's perception of life itself. Just as there is the phenomenon I think they discussed about astronauts whoever went to space and was able to see Earth, um space, something changes in their brain
Yeah, yeah,
chemistry,
we
like
talked about
it's,
this before.
yeah.
It's not brain chemistry,
So
it's just their point of view changes, right? Like they actually see in front of their eyes one blue round planet hanging out in nothingness, and we being one organism on it essentially. But we're behaving as if we're like separate things with all these countries and borders and rules and stuff that are not treating us as what we are, as the passengers on this spaceship that we need to steward, right?
yeah. So, but that perspective kind of makes it contextualizes everything. And I think by putting everything in the game context, that's also doing the same, or in the same kind of way, where you are considering all the aspects as if, because you're both the participant, but also the observer, right? If you realize that life is a series of games, you know you're playing it, right? So you're participating in it, but you're also
It's a
realizing that,
recognition. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It's like it's a shift in the mindset because you have to keep being aware of it, and it's a certain lens you're like putting on your perception. You're remembering every moment. It's like being enlightened, essentially. Like you're remembering every moment that everything is a game. At all times you're playing a game consciously. That makes you conscious, dude. When you're playing a game and engage like that, like you have to pay attention.
yeah,
So it's it's like you're more woken up. Like I don't know how to describe it because it's fun. Like it
yeah,
makes you
because
attentive.
the other day I had to negotiate with a client
Okay,
the amount
that's
of money
always fun.
So basically the whole time I was in my mind, it's like, yep, this is the game we're playing. We're basically haggling. It's like, okay,
No, I
basically
want this.
it's almost like, let's be
I'm not
honest.
gonna go
If
for
I
that.
were to be honest with the guy, I could just talk. I wish I could talk to people, be like, let us be honest, okay? I want more money from you. You want less money. You want to pay me less money, but let's
Yeah,
find a way in
West
the
Grossman
middle, okay?
style.
Let's find the middle,
Right.
you know? But I can't say that. But I had to
Oh,
be like, you know what, this is the, and then you find where the floor is, what he's willing to pay and what you want out of the deal. And
well,
then you
but
just find
what's a
that
graceful way to do that? What's a graceful way to do it? If
there
they're
is no
lowballing you
graceful way,
essentially, so what do you say?
because some people can be offended. Like, what, you trying to haggle me? Like, but
Well,
that's
yeah,
what
but
it is.
everybody understands that
This
it's
is
like
what the
it's not.
game is.
Yeah, that's
This is
people
what the
ask
game
for it,
is.
and it's since they asked you for it, you now have to answer. And saying
Yeah,
outright
because
no can be uncomfortable, but
I understand, as a business owner, of course you want to reduce your expense, right? Of course, that's in your best interest. But I'm on the other side of the
Yeah, but
equation,
to
so
what extent?
it's in my best interest to get more money from you.
Yeah,
So we're all playing the game, man. It's
yeah.
like why does it have to be? I wish people can be more
But
honest,
like,
but
what's a
that's
good
just
way
how
to? But honest is being what? You can be honest. You can be an honest
you
seller
can
and
be
buyer.
honest.
You can say, as a seller, you can say like, look, I legit don't haggle. This is the sum I'm paying it for. You can say this up
You
front.
could,
I
you
think that's
could,
a good idea. I think I've done that a couple times because like, you know what, I don't want to bother with this. But I realize most people, especially in the West, when I'm selling used stuff, they like to haggle usually.
right?
Everybody's like by default saying, what's your best price? And like, and in
Yeah,
my mindset, it's been such a problem for many years where like, dude, the site up, set up the price on the website, like $400. Why are you asking me about the price? Is that's the price, $400? He's like, but can you lower it? Like, no, because that's what I want to sell it for. So I did
yeah,
initially approach it with that, and it did not work out because people didn't understand because their whole process is internalized. However, the thing costs, you try to negotiate it
yeah,
down, and like you have to defend your price. So you have to
yeah.
justify why you
But
think it's worth
but you
that.
see,
And it's such a
because there's
fun
some,
game.
yeah, but there's sometimes when you don't know where the floor is, what the price floor is. When you first get into
Price
business,
floor
like
usually it's defined by the market. Like all the
it
similar
is.
items, the prices you look them up, and that's what you sell it for.
But you see, the interaction with a potential client is like what you don't know what the acceptable range for the other person is, because
Yeah, of
depending on the
course, that's where the
industry,
haggling
depending
comes
on
in.
the right,
Like it's some of it's so egregious, man. People like telling me to tell me like, yeah, give me like a 40% less price or something. Asking out so much, I'm like, you're ridiculous, right? Like, what are you saying right now? Why would I sell it for this low? It's like it's an expensive item. Why do you think this price is acceptable? It's ridiculous. It's the other way. It's lowered so much. Like, I don't know,
yeah.
thinking what? I'm just gonna sell
But
it
you
for
see,
whatever.
that's the thing, right? Information are asymmetrical in most cases. People don't
Yeah,
have
and it's
possess the
also its interpretation, right? Like to some, a move like that is normal. To some, like move like this is egregious, and they don't never
yeah.
accept anything lower than
It's
a
all
10% or 10% within 10% of their price range. So everything is a line that you decide for yourself. You're like, no, this is acceptable to me, and this is the only thing I'm gonna accept. And if you keep standing on it, dude, a lot of times these people, like I've seen it in real life, like a couple of women I know, like they just get their way no matter what. Somehow they're able to just like buying tickets. We're buying tickets to a hike that was closing down when we were passing by in the U.S. And my friend was trying to get us tickets, and they were just saying no, like we're done, we're not, you can't get tickets for today anymore. So that was the response. My friend somehow, through a series of phrases that she told her, essentially convinced her to give us those tickets and get us there. She convinced her when the business was saying like, yeah, we're done, goodbye. So she was like, no, 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 no. This is what needs to happen, and convince the other person. Because it's at this point, it's like, who has the right? You don't have the right, right? If we're saying as a business, we're done, we're done. But if you're so persuasive that you can convince even that person in that situation, like, yeah, do this service for me because I need it. And that's it. That's the only reason. That's pretty cool. That's like some kind of force or willpower
well,
that you're really applying on people.
yeah, see, that's the thing, right? Each person had their own sets of tools and advantage that they can muster. For example, if like a woman definitely has her tools by which she
Hmm.
can use to
Yeah.
manipulate, to get a better deal, to do
Yeah.
certain things that a man cannot do the same, right?
Yeah.
In the same situation, when you switch,
Different
it just won't
behavior.
happen. It won't happen just because of people's perception of what they perceive a woman is or how a woman is versus
Hmm.
what a man is or how a man is. And that changes the entire equation. So it really depends, right? How is this is why the game of life is very complicated because each person's strategy is different. Each person's, what kind of cards that they hold is different. So, before it used to be, worlds are much more rigid, right? You have these, say, in the past, you have people of they born into a position. Yeah, if you're a
Right.
nobleman,
There
you're
were
born
specific
into it,
classes that had
specific
specific
class,
norms in them. Yeah.
right? And they were trying to, they would be maintaining their status that way. But now the game has changed, where it's basically whoever has the most money has the most say, because
Right.
you basically have more agency, right? You can do
That's
more
true.
things. You
You
can
can
you can
apply
you
more
can
pressure to you.
you
You
can
can buy
manipulate
yourself
the
some
game.
trust
You
and
can
stuff. Yeah.
manipulate the game more by the amount of currency that you have, because you know that you can buy somebody with it.
Yeah. Yeah,
There's
yeah.
going to be a price by which that person will turn.
Wow, that's a lot
You
of
can
money.
turn that person. You can turn that person. You basically go to that person and say, "Hey, do this for me. I'll give you this amount of money."
Yeah. I'll give you
That's the
6 mil.
offer I can't not refuse,
I'll
and they
give
will
you
do things
six
for you.
mil. Yeah,
They
no
will do things
problem.
for you, right?
Yeah.
Hell, there will be people willing to
Why
kill
not?
for money, right?
That's
They will be
good
willing
amount of
to kill
money.
somebody
Let's
for that
go.
money. So, and that's how the game changed, right? Before it was like, well, know your place. I'm a nobleman, therefore I can tell you what to do when you're
Now
just a
anybody
peasant.
they wants to be whoever they want.
Now it's just, do you have the ability to convince people?
Yeah.
How do you convince people? Because you can only convince people without a reward for so long. You can
Do you
be very
have the
charismatic,
gravitas?
but then at the end of it, like, because the thing is, right, everybody is considering about their own self-interest, right? And basically, for anybody to manipulate the game, you have to understand what other people want. You know they want something. This is why some of these people who are good at this, they can manipulate all day long. They get their way because they understood other people's needs, and they cater to those, and they find a way to make these people do things for them, right? And for people who don't understand it as well or can't really execute on that, then yeah, you're gonna have a harder time. That's how unfair it is, right? It's all depending on, not just your abilities, but also what's given. What's at the given situation, what can you offer, right? And that's the thing that some people don't understand, right? Like I know it's for other people, it really cheapened the experience, but is this really true? Like, for example, in the dating game or between relation, basically between man and a woman, the whole thing is a market. That's what they
Hmm.
call it, the sexual marketplace. There is
Right.
a value being attached to,
Yeah.
and essentially that's
I
what's
heard
going
that
on.
interpretation.
But
It's
people
kind of
don't
true.
like it. People don't want to apply those labels on it because like,
But that's
oh,
just
that
what's
that
happening.
cheapens the experience. But that's what's happening. You were trying to get something.
There's an economy there.
There's an economy, right? But now the economy is going out of whack because of social media. Because now people's minds are being rotten to the core, where they think
Man,
that,
it's so weird. It's so weird that we've seen more beautiful women that all of our ancestors combined in their lifetime. We've seen it already. We've seen way too many more women, beautiful women, because
too
now
much.
they were
The
able to put
information
themselves,
is way
and then we
too,
have the information. We see how many
yeah.
beautiful of them are, and it's
But you
crazy.
see that also it creates this illusion, right? Because I
It
mean, we
distorts your perception of women essentially by seeing so many beautiful women.
that's on the men's side, but also on the women's side, they're like, oh, all these handsome guys are just one swipe away. I'm like, I have access to all these people. So their sense of self-worth goes through the roof. They're like, I can't just get whatever. Like, I want the best one,
Right. That's because people
right?
are like everybody keep going for her.
Yeah. So, but see, that's the thing, right? When you have these information, they are not being proportional to reality, and that's again the danger to technology, because the technology can increase the risk of the game, right? They can increase because right now,
Whole dating thing through the apps, dude, I did not get that one. I tried it. It was weird. I was like, this is weird. It's like meeting with strangers, but they're like, you don't know what exactly their motivation or expectations are. Some of them are just there to hook up, and you're like, but I don't really want to do that. That's weird. Like you're kind of. I was honestly looking for like an actual connection, where you just like try to get another person and see if you vibe out. But some of the women on there, they were like it looked like they were just there for sex. I was like, do I want to do this like one night stands? That's weird because that's
and
what it
then
felt like.
and then now, some of it is it's funny that some of it just is basically they're looking for a meal. They even have
Some of
women who
them
are
do.
just
Some of them do
looking
that
for a
because
meal.
there's just something
Yeah,
you can do. That's an
that's something you
option.
can do. That's an
It's
option.
like another exploit that you can like, oh, look at this. I discovered a new thing that I can do and I like it. Why not? What's the problem? Let's go out on a date. Technically a date. All right, thank you very much.
Yeah,
We're not a match. Goodbye. Sounds like a
yeah.
loophole.
It is a loophole, and but exactly, people are playing these games, right? They're like, okay, I have all my chips here. How am I gonna spend this chip, right? So imagine if you're a beautiful woman, you have certain assets that you can be using to get to your advantage,
Yeah, and
and
certain
you have,
standards by same logic.
yeah. But the thing is, I think just as the stock market, the theory being the in the stock market, what's reflected on the price is the actual, like I think they call them the efficiency market hypothesis, is that, they hypothesize that the market always will find the correct price, no matter what.
What
There's
the
the
hell does
price
that
being
mean?
the price being reflected is already priced in. So basically, meaning anything that happens in regard to what can change the price of a certain stock is already priced in.
At all points in time,
That's the
like
real, what that more or less it will find the real price, right? The real, like, whether this is all rumors or
essentially,
is it
eventually
all,
the price will stabilize around something that
yeah. So
where
you
it's
can
gonna float.
manipulate it short term, right? You can have these kind of pump and dump where, like, oh yeah, it just went up all real high, but then eventually you will, because you have to have a, on one hand you have buyer and you have sellers. They have to find the right, so eventually this whole system will find the balance. Okay, where is the actual floor? Where is the actual, so
Hmm.
I think that society now with technology are having way too much information, and therefore finding the right information or the right market price for anything is a lot harder. Just as what we're talking about, in terms of dating, it's so manipulated and it's so kind of warped people's mind that they can't find the right information. They don't know where they stand on the in the marketplace, right? This is where the mismatch happens, because before you don't have that many options, right? Because of physical space, of the restraint, the constraint that you have on physical space. You can't travel fast enough, or information doesn't travel fast enough. But now you have all this misinformation that's happening all around. So finding the right kind of correct information is very hard. So the games are harder now, right? You have to play extra hard to get the data, the real data that you need. Plus I think the problem is that there are a lot of smoke and it's basically smoke and mirror. A lot of these kind of
Of
smoke
course.
screen being interjected into the media sphere, right? You have propaganda, you have misinformation, you have all these things floating around. So how the hell are you supposed to play this game when you don't even know the facts, right? And you can't really know the facts because everything is being manipulated to give you a certain kind of sentiment, right? To kind of direct how you should feel about this thing. This is what's happening right now. For example, I see a lot online. It's very interesting reading two sides of the same story, and it all kind of makes sense if you read into their kind of logic of why they kind of coming up with this rationale for it. I see so many of this happening right now in the United States with the current situation that's happening in Minnesota, right? With the ICE, just the killing that happened. So a lot of people are on the side of ICE and they're explaining, oh, they did that because this and that, and then you have
Yeah.
on the other side, on the other side saying, oh, well, he's a victim. They executed him because, and then you have people basically arguing on both sides, but they all have a narrative. They're like, oh, yeah, this is the point that we want to carry across because why did he bring a gun during a protest? He must have want to do something, and the other side's, oh, well, these ICE agents are not well trained. They escalated the situation. They shouldn't have done that.
Right.
They could have done some other, maybe they're right in some ways, but the situation has been manipulated at every level. You have people even photoshopping pictures to post on their Instagram posts and what have you, just because they have a point of view they want to express. I'm I don't know who's right, who's wrong. I don't know enough about the situation, but from what I'm reading, it's like, wow, like you can actually believe one side or the other.
That's the thing, you know. It's just so many stories that are versions of reality, and you realize that they're just all stories that you get to, you know, if you decide to believe into or not. But there's so many perspectives that you're like, how do you establish which one is true or real if everybody of us like so distinctly perceive their own versions of reality, and they don't match, and like, what is going on? What is reality then? Like, because you kind of everybody lives in their own world. If that's the difference in your perception, and it's so palpable, you know, it's like, wow, how can it be so different? Doesn't make sense.
Yeah, but that's kind of the messy world that we live in
Yeah,
where we have to deal with all this situation. But imagine if we have a case where we can equalize that. But is that really the best thing that could be? Let's say if we equalize everything where the information are being kind of synchronized, right? But if it's synchronized, then how would you determine? Because if everybody received the same information, then how will one make different choices, right? There will not be different choices because if everything is the same,
right.
if and I mean, yes, certain things are facts and that you cannot manipulate, but I
Like
think
gravity.
yeah, but like certainly individuality when it comes to human beings definitely factor into not just how not just the vibrancy of a culture, but also just how people do things. Like it's what's need to be celebrated because you have an individuality, you have a certain way of looking at things. Because otherwise, you won't have a unique perspective. Because if everybody sees everything the same, then there's no difference. There's no kind of like a different perspective. And I think part of the creative endeavor, for example, is to find that sort of what nobody sees, right? An interpretation of life that is very different from other people's interpretation. And we celebrate works that does that, right? We like, oh wow, this piece of art is awesome. Like I could not envision to create this thing, right? There's no way I could have
Yeah,
made it.
I've been exploring a lot of art on DeviantArt lately because I'm active on that platform and just posting my art there lately, almost like every day, because I hit a really nice groove, discovered a really cool style that I'm like amazed that I was kept experimenting until I stumbled upon it. I'm like, and now every output that I'm using with this style I found, that I found a way to do it. Like, I love it. It's so creative and so intricate that I've never, like, I don't see that in AI art. Like, I think I'm using it to like a really full extent where I'm like getting art that really impresses me. I'm like, what the hell? This is awesome. Like, this gets really creative where like the interaction between my meaning and the machine's interpretation is so fascinating to me. It creates meaning for me. It's like new meaning that I'm gleaming from this works of art that AI technically created. I'm like, yo, this looks amazing. It looks uh like a proper artwork, dude. It's impressive. Like, it impresses me. So yeah, just that what reminded me of when you start talking about imagery and vision.
Yeah, but I don't know. I think part of me is still on the side that I'm kind of skeptical of AI arts in a way.
In
I
what
see
way?
what they can do. I understand that yes, they can be a very useful tool, but I think part of me is definitely on the camp of like, wow,
It's not good.
it's interesting to play around with it, but it's very hard to claim that oh well this is art in the traditional sense, right? Maybe we need to create a different category. Like,
Yeah.
okay, AI art is cool, but like, it's AI art.
Yeah,
Okay, it's
we talked
AI
about
art.
this, I think, before. Yeah, yeah. I was saying that I agree with that. For sure. I think AI art is just a separate category. It's cool, but yeah, it doesn't come close to like traditional art that's been before AI. I do agree with that because I've done real art and it's complex. It's much more difficult to do every single step your way and find a way to do it,
Yeah,
and thus you invest more time and create more meaning around it. You kind of discover why you're making this piece of art. That's how more of an engaging process this is, because you're like, sometimes like a couple of paintings I've done in college, they're like collages or exercises for to pass the courses. Like, some of the artworks I made there, they were weird, man. I still have them up, I think, somewhere on, like, there I put
Yeah.
started putting them up that long ago, like on 15 or something years on DeviantArt, and some of them were like, "Yo, this is disturbing." The art I made myself that I drew, it's kind of weird, dude. It was
That
dark.
was your mental space at
It
the
was
time,
dark,
right?
depressive, and just like very unpleasant. So I was not having a good time when I was a teenager.
We all have our edgy teenage angst
It
years,
was
right?
weird, dude.
So,
Yeah, it was intense. It was like, what is this fucking place? Just a lot of anxiety.
yeah, but that's part of the figuring things out, right? When you were young, you don't know anything and you're trying to figure out, oh, why am I feeling
Yeah.
this
And you
way?
just keep finding out that you don't know anything at every point in your life. It's just like the world, it keeps expanding. Your understanding of like what the hell is going on keeps expanding. Like it's complex. This
Yeah.
reality is complex. There's a lot of
Yeah.
stuff you got to be doing at all
Because
times,
you
or you're
see,
gonna suffer.
part of me is kind of do like I understand. See that, yeah. Now that we're talking about games, it's almost like I understood that yes, we're playing these games, but I'm kind of opting out of a lot of them. I just feel like, you know what? I don't have the energy to play this
That
shit,
yeah, just doesn't
you know?
sound fun.
Because when I'm young, I'm like, ooh, this is interesting. Oh, this is cool. This is, but then it's like, wait, how do you play this? I don't have no clue. Just for
I
example,
ain't got no time to figure it out.
I realize how the whole kind of again, it's like as a guy trying to find a girlfriend, it's like a game that which is like I don't know the rules. Like how the hell are you gonna play it? How are you supposed to play this? I just don't know. But some people do, right? Some people they naturally understand. Okay, well, this is what you do. You talk to a girl and you say this thing, and then she's gonna be so impressed. Blah 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 blah. Right? But like it's funny. It's like now I think back. It's like oh yeah, that's why I was a complete clumsy kind of fool because I don't know how to play that game, right? And that's
And
why.
yeah, I guess, but like that's normal, right? Not everybody's gonna get every game. I know what you're talking about. Yeah, to me as well. I'm like, what are we doing here?
Wait,
Is this
what are we doing here? Well,
yeah,
how's the what's the rules?
what is this
There's no rule.
for? Yeah. It's all kind of arbitrary and just like pick your own adventure and then somebody just I don't know. That just don't want to engage sometimes. I don't know if
Yeah.
is that weird? I don't think so.
So see, life is a series of games, but you gotta choose which one you want to engage in,
Yeah,
right?
you can't play
Which
all
one
the
you're gonna.
games.
You can't
You
play
have a
all of
limited
it.
amount of energy.
But that's the thing, right? I feel these days is like, well, I do embrace the fact that I just want to do what I want to do. I don't care. Like I think
That's how it works.
the older you get, the less you care about other people's opinion, and I think that is a good thing. Like you should stop caring other people's opinion because not because you're an asshole, not because you're, on feeding, have no feelings for other people. No, it's about your relationship with the world itself because you get to understand that, okay, actually, you don't matter that much to other people, you know? Not in the way that you think you matter to other people,
Yeah, not
right?
really. Yeah,
Because most people don't care about you. They care about their own
they
self-interest
don't
and
think
what
about you.
they're
Yeah,
considering, right? So that's why the typical thing, like,
you're
oh,
not that interesting.
if you feel embarrassed about something that you did in the past, that person who saw that already forgotten about it five
Yeah,
minutes after,
yeah.
right? Only you in your head are thinking, oh, I will embarrass myself. Why did I do that? That was stupid.
Although,
And
like some of those memories that you think of as embarrassing, you do end up remembering. They're embarrassing, but you do remember them. So
well, you
because
do remember them
there is an intense emotion because there's
is
just some yeah, the
because it's
cringing was
negative.
there.
Because it's negative to you, and
Like right
therefore you
now, when we
remember.
talked about this, like I had a memory just pop up in my head randomly for no reason, but I think it's because connected to the emotion. When I was working at Pizza Hut as a server, at one point changed a couple of managers there, main managers of the store. So there were several personalities, but one of them, his strategy for locating a person who was like eating wings on break, which is essentially not allowed. So they were just
Hmm.
cooking the food for themselves on break because they're working there and they thought that's fine. Well, that's not actually allowed. That's like stealing food from the company. And I guess a couple people were doing it. It was, I don't know. I didn't really pay attention to it. Like I think I would agree I saw them doing it, but I just didn't realize. I didn't judge. But one of the ways for finding out who does this he was coming out, I guess, to every employee, and he came up to me once and he's like accused me, like, yo, you've been stealing wings from the freezer, in my face, like seriously.
Okay.
I'm like, yo, what are you talking about right now? You're accusing me? Are you fucking crazy, dude? Like, I
You're
was
tripping?
offended. I was offended because I was like, yo, you think you could think that lowly of me? You think that I'm the kind of person I am? I was offended. It was like my honor was offended. I was like, well, no, dude, that's such a shit. It's not what I'm about. But then emotion, like it's like indignation and like, yeah, indignation. That's the emotion. That's an interesting one because it's like it means there's a certain form of self-respect that you have, that you
Yeah.
do
Yeah.
feel like yo, that there's an acceptable way of communication here, and these are my standards, and you stand on that line. It's important to have that line, I think. And that's how the game is kind of constructed. You're actively participating and you can define the rules. So it's an interesting game itself to find the rules of the boundaries of the rules of the game. You could test the boundaries, and that's in the game. That's part of the
Yeah.
game.
Wait, so the guy's strategy is to see your reaction, right?
Yeah.
If you're
Yeah,
indignant,
and
it means you didn't
somehow,
do it.
yes, I'm like, no, I didn't do it. What the hell, man?
That's
And he just left. He just didn't bother me anymore. But I was like, this is how you do it? This is the guy. I think he was Indian. I think so.
so that's
Dude.
how they do it. That's how they do it,
Yeah.
right?
He was messing with me. He was messing with me a couple of times, which was very strange. I didn't know what was happening. But at one point, I told him, like, I'm going to be off that day. I came down to the basement where he was sitting. He wasn't, like, even working. He was just being a manager. I told him, like, can I be off on this date? He said, yep, okay. Then I was off. And then on that date, he calls me, why aren't you at work? And I'm like, I called it off, right? I booked it off. He's like, no, you didn't. It's like, I came down to the basement and talked to you face to face, one on one. And he's essentially denying that it happened. And I was like, what? Is your memory this bad, or are you
Gaslighting, right?
messing with me? Are you
Gaslighting.
gaslighting me and messing
Yeah.
with me on purpose? I was so confused, dude. I
No,
was
you
like,
didn't.
we talked, bro. This happened. I'm not like
Nope.
imagining it.
Didn't happen.
Yeah. I was like, you're fucking with me, right? I was so confused. To this day, I don't know if he was messing me or what that was.
Maybe
But he was giving me some
that's
grief.
a brilliant strategy, right? Keep you
I
all
think so. I
guessing,
mean, it's
you
pretty
know?
ballsy, dude. You gotta respect it. But it was scary and annoying at the same time because I did not understand what's going on. It's like, what kind of games is this guy playing? This is some games, bro.
Mastering
Yeah.
manipulation.
I don't know how to react. You know what I mean? I'm like,
Yeah.
I'm confused.
But some people are that like that, right? They manipulate other people's emotions to
Yeah.
see to
And dude, imagine the balls to try it essentially, because apparently it does work on some people. Apparently you could
does work.
like, I mean, I've seen it firsthand a lot with my mom. That's what my mom does. She can express like a wall of emotions on you that will be so intense that you will not like it. You will like, I don't want to, like, this person is really annoying me with how intense they are. But you can't do nothing with it because there's a certain power when you like speak emotionally. Emotions rule people. If you really generate a strong enough emotion, like think about yourself. You and I, we're not very emotional people.
No.
We're not really talking like that. But some people are much like, they're talking like in general. Their default mode is like they're screaming at you. Like they're very intense. There's a lot of emotion in their expression. It's like, and that's something. That's some kind of force that they are kind of influencing you with, because you definitely feel emotions when other people are projecting them at you. Like, when there's another angry person here, you'll feel the anger. When somebody's being loving around you, you see, like, you have empathy. You're seeing a person experiencing that emotion, and you understand what it means. It means you can kind of imagine what they're experiencing, and you're like, oh, this is awesome. We're all instinctively kind of read emotions like that, I think, automatically at all times.
Because that's what you need to survive, right? You recognize these cues,
But
recognize
it's
these.
what? Emotions is some kind of sub language or something that additionally we all instinctually use, because they are kind of automatic, right? You're not controlling your
You're
emotion.
not controlling
You
it. Yeah.
can't really
It happens when it
generate
happens.
them. They have to be authentic, where you legitimately feel something like that in your experience, in your reality. And that's spontaneous. That's kind of, you're not planning that out.
I mean, functionally, it's all correlated to chemistry, hormones, and things like that. So it's like an automatic
Yeah, but
response. It's like the body
that's
is
what I'm
kind of,
saying. It's automatic. Somehow, some way, shape, or form, it's not really you
yeah.
controlling it.
But but one could understand the fundamental sort of why the system is, the body's system is kind of designed that way, or are functioning that way. Because emotions, in this sense, is to think is the dumbest kind of response system you could have. But that's the body's sure way. It's the body's way of just, we surely want a reaction. Okay, so this is what is going to happen. It might be the dumbest thing like this for an organism to react, but this we can ensure you're reacting to the stimuli from the outside world. So you're not like, oh, let me think about this. Am I in danger or am I not? Like, no, you do not think. You just react,
And
right?
not enough time for that.
Yeah, so basically it all go back to fight or flight, right? So this is what the chemistry, that the hormones, that's what they do to you. They just elicit these kind of basic responses by which it will help you, supposedly help you process the environment, right? Because you need automatic response. You can't just wait. There's nothing to, you don't have time to wait. So
And
you can
there's
process it
so much
after.
of that process automated. I think we touched on that before. But yeah, the automation don't seem to find the end to it once you start pulling the thread. It's
Yeah.
yeah, it's pretty trippy.
But that's the thing for me. Like, I do not like emotions. I don't like it. You know? Even
Well, not
happiness.
true.
Even,
You like
even,
laughter. Laughter, you like
well,
laughter. I know you
okay,
do.
okay, okay. I'll give you that. Yeah, I'll give you
Laughter
that for
is a
sure.
potent
I think,
emotion.
nobody will hate that. Yeah, but that's
Laughter
true.
is the best.
But in terms
Universally,
of
everybody
like,
likes laughing.
but in terms of, I suppose nobody likes negative emotion, I guess. But like, basically, I don't like how it make me feel, because maybe I am a bit too self-aware, because as it happens, I feel bad. I feel like it's one thing to kind of go through with it, but another sort of like, as you're going through with it, you're realizing you're doing it. And it's like, how am I supposed to feel about this? Like, I recognize the emotion that I'm going through, sort of, but then it's like, well, how do I stop this? Oh, I can't stop this. Oh, fuck, what the hell? You know?
It just
Like,
comes
I
out.
didn't ask. Like, you just come out and then like, I didn't ask for this.
Yeah,
This is bullshit. I don't need this.
dude,
Like,
a couple times in my life, like it happened where I got properly angry to the point where I lost control of my body physically, and that was scary. It legit happened a couple times, and it terrified me because afterwards I was like, "What? I totally did not want to do that. Like, why did I just do that?" And become physical. It's like, whoa. And something overrides you and you just go, dude. It's something primal. I don't know what that is. Oh, something overtakes, like you are in danger physically, and something overrides and like motivates you to change the situation because something like unacceptable is starting to happen. It's very
yeah.
weird.
But you see, but this is the part I think that we all need emotional regulation, because the body can't tell the difference. Like in that case, right? You were angry. It's like you said, it is the body's kind of response of the fight or flight. It's basically it's basically, he understood in the body's way that I am in danger. I must fight back, right? But it doesn't know the context. The context could be very complicated of why you felt that way at that moment, right? But it wasn't really you bodily in danger. It was just somehow that registered as the body registered that as like, oh, I'm in danger. I must fight back,
Yeah.
right? So the brain, the body doesn't know the difference. Only you do. You're only in your mind, you do know the difference. So like, just why we need self-regulation on the emotions, because if you can't control things like anger, then it will just negatively impact your life, because you will be out of control all the time,
Right.
even though you're not really in danger in terms of physically. It was just a way of for you to process that kind of the emotion, I guess. But some people kind of use that as a way to, I don't know. Some people who have anger issues, it's sort of like part of it, I think, is like they actually enjoy it, despite the fact that it is kind of negative. They're like, it's like people like to wallow in their own misery sometimes, I guess, because like I can see how, and anger in men in most cases, and for women is just, I guess, part of it. For some women, they like to dramatize, right? They like the feeling of the emotional high for whatever. So in their
Yeah,
life,
women
there's
like
much more
emotions.
drama. There's much more drama. You want to dramatize everything because you want to feel the emotion, right?
Yeah,
Because
it's
they're
true.
addicted to that, right? They're addicted to that kind of a feeling of that. So yeah, it's sort of, but I just feel like, if anything that you're not in control of, it's is a unknown quantity, right? And it can make your life go out of control if you don't kind of have a sense of what's going on. This is why one will want to study psychology, right? Or to know about, therapy and all that. Why would anybody need therapy? Because it's a part of understanding, oh, okay, these are the factors that affects my reaction to things, right? It's a way to understand yourself better, right? Part of the
And therapy is a weird one. I'm still like on the fence about it because I've had both perspectives for the fact that it's so necessary for every human on the planet. I've kind of seen that perspective and I contemplated it, but I've also heard the perspectives that, well, it's kind of a racket and kind of a scam as well,
mm,
because
right.
until what point and by whose admission do you need therapy? Says
Yeah,
who? What
says
is
who?
what do I need therapy for? I've been living fine my whole life without therapy. What do I need it for? I don't know what that is. What do you want me to do? For what? So what happens? At what point am I done with therapy? Does it end? Do you just keep going and paying people and just talking to them and that helps apparently? The problem is that I do see how that helps. I
Yeah,
do see the point of that. I was like, it is kind of nice when there's just another person that actually listens to you and like try to comprehend what your issue is and try to
yeah.
help you. It's kind of nice.
But
I get
you
that point
see,
even.
but when it comes to practicality or in practice, right? When it comes to in practice, everything gets muddy real quick, right? In theory, yes, therapy helps, but then it is also an industry. People get paid, right?
Yeah.
You have therapists, that's their
They
job.
play their game.
They play their game, right? So, which is even the same thing about, say, religion, right? You can read about the dogma, you can read about all these things, but in actual practice, well, some of those church are really shady, you know? So in execution, in practicality, in practice, sometimes it doesn't match up with the belief that it's supposed to espouse. So when human carry out certain actions, you get the problem that comes with the, I suppose, the human weaknesses, right? One could
Yeah.
say about what's moral and what's not, and be understanding of, oh yeah, that we should all be moral, we should all do this and that, and then in actuality, you do the opposite. That's what humans do, right? So just to say that there is no perfect world and it's all factored in, that we have a intellectual capacity to recognize the value of certain things in our own lives, and we are playing that game whether consciously or not, manipulating these elements to suit our own needs, right? Just as you want to eat when you're hungry, you have certain kind of desires and you try to get at that desire and you try to make up reasons why that works or rationales. Like, I mean, for most people, it's like, okay, I need to make more money. I need to make more money because I want that money to do this, this, and that, all in your head. Oftentimes, don't do any deeper analysis than that. They're just like, okay, I understand that I need to make more money. That's it. That's the thing that that's
Right.
the easiest thing
But
to
you
understand.
don't figure out the meaning what it is for, right? Besides survival. Yeah,
But that's what you need to do.
that's but that's not a fun way to live. Yeah, that's not you want to grow essentially, right? It's part of
That
the
should be the
growth
game.
process.
That
Yeah.
should be the sets of game that you're playing. But most people only stop at the game that, most people playing on the economic level, right? But they're not thinking about exactly like what's the bigger ramification for the individual, for yourself, right? What do you want to achieve? What's the, it's the point of it is not to like comparison does help, but I think people mistake that as sort of like, oh, I must be like that. Like, you know how people can try to compare themselves to other people. Oh, look at that guy. Oh, he got all the stuff that I want. But are you sure about that? I don't think you're actually sure about that
Yeah,
because
you never know it. You never
that's
know
what
what
that
the guy
person
went
wanted.
through to
Exactly.
get
That's what,
that too.
yeah. And also, how do you know that's what you want too? You don't know that, right?
Yeah.
You only seeing the surface level stuff, but like, okay, do you understand what it takes for you to get
Yeah,
there?
it's kind of what happened to me with the guitar, I would say, because I was like, I got really fascinated by it when I was like 16, 17, and I tried to learn it by on my own since then. And I was able to play something, like I was able to figure out, enough where I could make all my own songs and play a little bit on stage in a metal band. It was all right, but honestly, my level was not very good. Like compared to what I've seen around, I was like, yeah, I'm not able to play that well. Like I really tried with everything I got that I tried to play it was like no, it's some like my hands. I don't know.
Not working somehow.
I did break my wrists 3 times. When I was a kid. I don't know. Maybe that have affected my ability to use my nerves in my fingers or something. But I was not very good, not very an accurate player. I have composition skills. Like I think I have an ear for music, and I'm able to compose it where there's a melody. It sounds kind of coherent also kind of mediocre, not a big level. Oh, so I'm not able to do it physically as well. I'm not that good to have any kind of professionally enough sounding music. Because it all sounds pretty amateur. But I wasn't able to do that. But now I tried it with AI, and that's my game. That's been my game, and it's been a very fun one because it's like the game is to figure out the language that translates into the music that you ideally want to hear. So you just need to define what is it that you want to hear. And when you do it accurately and you realize, okay, I can just fine tune my language and hit it in a zone where like it does like find a way, a method to make it music that you like really like. It's a fun game because it's like it's so weird and intuitive that you have to like try to create something new by describing it to such a level of detail where all of the criteria that you name something you want to hear and to experience in that music, and it's able to get it, like it's able to get that exact vibe. It's so weird, like the AI is already that good. And I know like a lot of people are not happy about that. They're essentially, it's like, no, down with that shit, it's bad. And other people like it, so it's interesting. Like it receives hate, and there are a lot of people who are kind of like messing around with it, creating this all new type of music. Yeah, even the stuff that I've been making for the podcast based on our episodes, it was so fun because like it's
Yeah.
using AI for both the lyrics and the music, but I curate everything, right? And okay,
Yeah.
and I discovered this rap persona that I'm using for all the songs. And it works so well because it sounds so wonky and weird at the same time and funky. And it's a nice mix of a hip hop, and like the voice sounds really realistic. So I'm like, this is crazy that you can do that in a game. You have AI that can like do this magic, dude, that never was possible before. Imagine like something like that. Imagine trying to explain this concept to people who didn't know about computers. Yo, we'll make these rocks display stuff for us, and then we'll make this request from them to make us this music like out of thin air, out of the
That's what
ether.
we're
We'll
doing.
summon music. It will be playing out of the speakers, dude. But where is the music? Who made the music? It was made in the electrical signals, dude. That's what did the music. What? Explain this to me. How does
And
this
we're
work? It's
making,
magic.
and we're running out of graphic cards. Do you know that?
No, we already talked
Because
about this. Yeah, no. Don't repeat this. We went down that route already
no,
many
I
times.
know, but that's what's going on, right? We're letting silica to sing for ourselves, right? To
Yeah.
ourselves,
Yeah.
you know?
That's how much it costs.
I don't know, man.
Everything has a price. But yeah, this is like games, dude. And there's so many things that are still interesting to ponder about what defines a game and what it really is. If you were to give a game a definition, would you say? What is the definition of a game?
Definition of game is bullshit.
That's too broad. Everything is bullshit.
Yeah, well, I mean, it has this kind of yeah. How will you define it?
It's tricky, right? You see? Talk about simple definitions of the word that you've been using for like an hour at this point. What do you mean? What is a game?
I'm sure that's the official definition, but yeah, I don't.
There is, yeah. But it's weird how you can't really tell, right?
What would you use to describe it? Sets of parameters, sets of
Let's
what's
see.
the
A game is a structured type of play, usually undertaken for entertainment or fun, and sometimes used as an educational tool. Many games are also considered to be work or art. There are many types of games. Popular formats include board games, video games, online games, card games. Games can be played in a variety of circumstances, and some can be played even without any materials or company. Games can be played either for enjoyment or for competition, and they can be played alone or in teams, online, offline, etc., etc. Okay, so it's this structured type of play. It's still pretty broad.
yeah, but I think it's like you find the
Oh, okay. All games must have a challenge and a structure, barring certain exceptions like sandbox games. All games also have an objective. Yeah, so it's all objective based. There's specific rules, specific challenge. Yeah, a lot of the games, the
like
online stuff we played, it's kind of the
it's
same.
basically like a simulation, a practice run that people run through that is kind of training you for kind of real life challenges almost. It's almost an innate understanding of okay, these games are challenges and structure challenges to kind of test your skills essentially, right?
Yeah,
You want to have more it's like practice run, right? Like imagine if this is why it's like training, right? You're training yourself for situations in which how to respond in a certain degree. This is why you have sports. Sports is what? It's just that, right? It's a whole bunch of metrics to measure how fast or how well can
yeah.
you play
This
or
arbitrary thing happened.
yeah. So, I mean, think about it, right? A soccer game is a ridiculous game. All
Yeah,
right. Whole bunch of people sitting, pay top dollar to watch whole bunch of men try to get a ball into the other
you
side of
kick
the
a
court,
ball
into
across
the
the field
across the field, into the gate.
into the gates.
That's
They
it.
want that to happen. Yeah,
Yeah, but it tests the skills of the person. Can they defend it,
yeah.
or can they
Can
uh,
you
can
do?
they uh,
Yeah,
can they
whose
do
skill
the
is better?
offense, right? So it is entertaining, but if you think about the nature of it, it's like, yeah, this is ridiculous. Why would anybody do this? You
How much
know? But
effort goes into it too? It's like
same with
professional.
any sports, right? Any
And
sports
they're
is
and
like,
the people who excel there, they're superstars.
well, yeah,
People like
exactly.
Ronaldo and stuff,
They, you
they're
know,
heroes essentially of humanity.
and you can train your whole life doing that, right? That's one person's life is like that. They just do that their whole life, right? So, you know, life is strange, but sometimes, these are kind of the things that people do. And I suppose we can try to understand it in the context of a game, right? We can put all these life situations and put it in the context of a game, and it does
Hmm.
explain, right? It does explain why people do these things in a way. I think at the end of the day, that's just a way to quantify um our existence, basically, because you can find all kinds of way to describe, oh, what's the meaning of humanity? What's the meaning of this
Yeah, it's all
what we're
subjective.
doing. Stuff is all subjective. So that's part of the fun, I guess. The fact that you can make stuff up, you can make these things, this is the part that kind of attracts me to the creative fields because it's like, well, yeah, I can make things. I can make things out of my mind, right? I can create something out of nothing, essentially, things that didn't exist before. And the thing is, whatever I create, nobody else can create. I mean, you can definitely do something similar. Like you can create a thing which, oh, this is very similar to somebody else's idea or whatever, but there's no is not identical. There's no any two person who's identical, and what they create are different, and that's the kind of variation that you have across the world, and that's a beautiful thing, right? That you can have all these unique arts, unique things being created by people, and people want to see what kind of unique thing that people can create. That's
Yeah.
the whole selling point of it, right? That you can find out about what's unique about, certain creation.
Yeah. What about the difficulty of the game? If a game is kind of too easy, is it still a game or is it something else at that point?
Well, functionally, it stopped matter. Right? It stopped mattering, right? If a game is too easy, it's like, oh well, people aren't going to be playing it. I think that's part of it too. It's
Interesting.
like
There
okay,
has
so
to be a certain level
everybody
of a
wants to
challenge.
win, but the thing is, if a game is too easy, you are disappointed about it as well. Like imagine if like okay, you set
Hmm.
up a thing where you're like, okay, I'm getting all the money, but this is freaking boring. Like what am I? I'm not even doing anything, and like
Right.
what am I doing with my life, right?
Yeah.
Because you can't be at the
Feels
position where
dumb.
like you're technically winning because you're getting all those things that people are thinking that that's the goal of it, right? Like oh, just make more money. Well, I am making more money, but I'm bored.
Yeah, it's
It's
not
like
doing anything for me.
what does that do? I have all this money and then I can't spend it, or you cannot do anything with it, right? So this is the reason why people, as they move along, I suppose they find different challenges, right?
Hmm.
So things like what, say, for example, what Elon Musk is doing or trying to do, right? I'm not saying all the things that he did kind of was net positive, supposedly,
It's difficult to judge, Jude. When you
but
start looking into it, it
but
gets
there are
weird.
certain things that he's trying to do which it makes sense to people. Like, yeah, he's trying to, overcome some of these problems that human faces, or at the very least, go beyond what's possible right now, right? To go to Mars, for example, to do these things, and it is kind of to create to beat the impossible, or basically meeting the challenge, right? Because to him, at his level, he's just like, well, money doesn't mean anything to me. I need to be doing things that challenge me, kind of like because he set a high goal for himself, right? Like, okay, get to Mars. That's a big objective to be able to do, right? Imagine the
Yeah.
amount of resources, research, the amount of people you need to put together and everything. But that's his goal, right? Or at least that's what we understood to be one of his goals that he wanted to achieve. Is so yeah, we want to go to Mars. We want to be a space race, basically. We want to be able to traverse the universe. That's the high goal, right? So yeah, he challenges himself because there's nothing else to do because the money is beyond the point for him. He's not playing that game anymore.
Right.
For him, the rule sets are different because once you get to a certain level, you need to change the game because otherwise it's meaningless. It's meaningless for the player when there's no more objective to be completed. The game is done, right? Just as when we play, you can play an MMO or whatever, or some big game. There's so many things to do, but eventually there will be a point where you're like, you know what? I've done everything. I've done everything possible in this game, and there's nothing else
Right.
to do anymore, right? Then you move on. So I think that part of it is kind of what drives people. It's again the Maslow's pyramid, right? The our motivation move along with our situation as it improves, right? Because you have the base level survival, and then you kind of need to transition into from survival to thriving, right? The idea that the best possible
Right.
goal that you want to reach is like, okay, I want to be doing something that will be considered thriving in my life, as opposed to just purely try to survive. And I think people have a hard time transitioning because they're so used to the survival mode that they can't really see themselves change and kind of switch gears. Like it's not that easy, right? Because you have habits, you have a way of doing things that you just get used to. And that was the case when you didn't have all the stuff and you were trying your hardest to get the resources and get all this stuff. But imagine if you get to a point where, okay, that doesn't matter anymore, but you still doing the same thing because you don't know how to do it otherwise. To transition the mentality, everything has to change, you know? So that's why I think it's meaning and purpose is very important to any human being. And I think the earlier you can define that, the better you can hone that, the better you can kind of define what that is. I think your life will turn out to be better. Doesn't matter what how much money you're gonna make, or those metrics doesn't matter. It's what's important is, okay, what
Yeah.
do you do with yourself? What's your kind of ultimate goal, right? Like in these games that you play, what is the I don't know, ultimate objective? What is your ultimate objective you're trying to do? Like, yes, you can play all these sub games. It's like side quests, right? You can do all the side quests or get all that, but what's the most pertinent question for you? What are you trying to find out for yourself, right? And that goes beyond monetary. That goes beyond money. That goes beyond sort of all these material stuff. Basically, the idea is that don't get lost in the sauce, man. There's so much sauce
Right.
around that
There's always the sauce.
there's too much sauce, man. There's too many things going on in the world. There's too many
Yep.
distractions, too many things going on that you don't understand what's the correlation.
Yeah,
And
there's so much of it that you realize you just know nothing about. You're like, oh my God, there's a whole other more information about this reality, and it's just so confusing.
yeah, and it's also harder to play these games now because the rules are totally changed, right? It's like imagine, okay, this is funny now. Imagine, okay, the game was chess, and all of a sudden, the game switches to you have to play that section of the video game Modern Warfare 2 where you're on the snowmobile and you must do the chase. Like imagine you were
Yeah.
a chess player. Like this is the game I'm playing, but all of a sudden you need to play this now. Like I remember I was trying to play that level on the
Yeah.
snowmobile. I tried to survive and basically have a little race. I couldn't
Mhm.
do it, man. It was so hard for me because I
Yeah.
guess for me I couldn't. My spatial
It's
recognition
too
is is
fast and
is is,
stuff.
is
Yeah.
shit, right? But that's what I'm saying. It's like it's hilarious because I couldn't do it. But that's because you don't know the rules. You don't know how to play it. You never don't have the experience, right? But right now, this is what's happening, right? Like you are required to start playing different games now faster than ever. Because before you can just play one set of game and that's about it, right? But now you have to switch gears. You have to have new learnings, new understandings, new knowledge that you have to acquire to kind of play in this. Because the moment you stop learning about these new developments, you're just left behind. Like, what else are you gonna do then, right? All the other people are learning it. They're getting an advantage over you now. They know how to play the current game better than you do, and so you're gonna get left behind if you don't. So I don't know. It's harder and harder in that sense but the problem is how fast can you learn, right? With the human brain, I don't think we are not well adapted to that because our human bodies are really slow in processing in terms of changing because we're very bad at adapting to like it's basically the way that our brains are wired are just pretty much set. Like there's certain change in the environment that you will not be able to adapt to because it's too fast,
Mm-hmm.
such as for example, the typical problem that we have now is obesity. Is the body cannot adapt fast enough to our eating habits because
You
now
eat
we
too
have food.
much.
Food is readily available now. The body
Too much.
is too much because the body never had the situation before where, oh, there's a lot of food. No
Yeah,
way.
dude. I have to watch my weight, legit. Like
Yeah.
I'm going to the gym like 3 days and do yoga and do cardio, and I'm like, yo, if I need to step it up after that, because like the body metabolism starts to slow down, and it's like you can't process that as much energy anymore. It's weird. It's like you become more energy efficient somehow, so you're not burning as many calories anymore. So even though I keep going to the
Yeah.
gym, so it's baffling to me. But yeah, that's what happens with age. Like you can't be eating that much. That's the truth.
Yeah.
Like I need to eat like a bird if I want to go into calorie deficit, and like it feels uncomfortable. You don't really want to feel that.
Yeah.
The hunger will be there. It will be like persistent, and it gets a point where I become too light. Like I become uncomfortable in my body. Like I feel I'm too light now because it kind of feels good, right? But at the same time, it's like I'm not used to it. It's not my normal weight, and I feel it. I feel I'm underweight, and I'm like, no,
Mm.
that's not gonna work. So I gravitate a bit more on the massive side because of that. Because I'm like I'm storing more fat because I kind of feel better with it. It's like I need this fat.
Yeah. You need
It's
it.
there
There's a reason
for a
why.
reason. Yeah,
Yeah.
I feel this is the amount that's appropriate. Okay, by
Yeah.
my
Just
standards.
as long as it's appropriate, right? It's
Yeah,
where it's the health is number one. I mean,
yeah,
all
it's
the
all
other
good.
considerations are secondary. But
It's just like I'm not chiseled, I'm not going for that because that's uncomfortable
it's
when you
stupid.
get to that level, and it's like
It's
for no
it's like
reason.
for what? Just
Yeah, for
because you
what?
want to impress a female? I mean,
Yeah, it's something like
really?
that.
Like, okay, if that floats your boat, great, but
But
not.
that's like doesn't really work like that. You impress women with your personality first. That's the only way you can really impress a person, I think.
But you see, that's the kind of game people play, right? There's some aspect that people specialize in because they think that
But
that
some
gives
people
them an
like, oh
advantage.
man, beautiful people get away with everything, with
Yeah,
anything. Dude, that's a different type of game, okay?
yeah.
If you're a beautiful person, your life is good, bro. You are
You don't
having
know.
a
Yeah,
good time.
you don't know how good you get, right? How
You're
good you
having the
get it.
best time on this
My
planet. If
God,
you're
can't you imagine?
okay, there are no homeless beautiful women, let me tell you
Nope,
that. That doesn't exist.
nope. And people will not allow that to happen.
That's not gonna
You
happen.
know, that
They're,
won't
they're
happen.
yeah, they're precious.
So yeah, I wouldn't know as an ugly guy. I don't know. Okay,
Yeah, you don't have anything to worry
I
about.
don't
You're
have
good.
anything to watch out for. Yeah, it's like exactly. I'm good. You know.
Yeah.
But yeah, dude, I don't know. Like, it's hard to verbalize. Okay, what kind of game am I playing right now? I don't know, but I am definitely playing.
You're up to some games, dude. You look shifty as hell.
Yeah,
What else about games? Do we quit games because they're too hard or because they reveal us?
I don't think you can quit.
Hmm. Never? Kind of bored.
I mean, you can switch out
I've
certain
quit
games.
certain games like
Well,
a few times
yes,
in my life. I
but
quit
I
a few games abruptly. It was like,
but
I'm done. No more
yeah,
games.
but ultimately though, ultimately you can't escape the game, right? The
You,
grand
you need to
game.
keep an eye on that.
Yeah, so it's like okay, you can quit a specific game. You can abandon a quest, but
I
then
think so. That's quitting a
there
game.
there are gonna be other quests, right?
Is mastery the end of the game or the moment it dissolves? Mastery. When you mastered the game. Yeah, it's kind of weird because I've been a gamer for a good portion of my life, and I've had a few episodes where I was so much into gaming, the game's like fascinated me so much that I would be just stuck in it. And the apogee of that was the Total War Shogun 2. Like when I first tried to attempt the legendary
Ultimate goal.
difficulty, I was like, yo, this is difficult. Hold on. How do you do this? This is like unreal. It fascinated me so much. I played at one point. I finally got a game where I wasn't dying, where I wasn't losing. I was like, okay, can I just keep it going for one more turn, for one more turn, for one more turn? And I've done that for 36 hours straight, I think. I was just stuck in the game because nothing mattered anymore. I needed to beat that game. It was so difficult that I was like discovering, like holding every breath because you never know. Out of the fog of war, a big enemy army comes and your whole strategy just done. You're done. You can't recover. You have to prevent that from happening. It's so difficult, dude.
I remember, man.
I think I've only done it a couple times that I won on Legendary, that one. But eventually it does become easier. That's true.
Once you
Because if you
understand
keep
the game,
playing, you
right?
kind of see the mechanic and it
Yeah.
becomes predictable. And you're like, okay, I figured it out. But yeah, that one was really difficult
So,
and really was fun.
okay, I remember, yeah, that's funny, right? That games, I remember playing it where it's like, okay, things were going well, and then all of a sudden, you just go, Nani? A whole
Hmm.
bunch of armies just came at you. It's like, okay, that means I'm done. Like, they're just
Yeah.
gonna lose this
Yeah.
whole thing.
Yeah.
But you see,
So
but
some
isn't that,
battles you have to get creative, dude.
yeah, and you have to cheat too. So, in terms of knowing the mechanics, right? You're trying to win it because AI is stupid, right?
Yeah, yeah.
They have a certain rules and what
Yeah,
happens.
it's true. Recently, I finished a campaign in Warhammer Total War uh, 3 by just, yeah, it's the beginning that's difficult because everybody's like being aggressive and you need to grow. But once you can get like proper quality units, you kind of steamroll everybody. And it's like, okay, it's kind of too easy then on very hard. But yeah, on legendary, probably a bit harder. But still, it feels there are levels to this. You can make it much more organic, like the Shogun was, Or maybe because it was one of the first ones to do it that way, I don't remember.
Well, you
But
see,
now, like, it's all kind of, it's more difficult to, you do have to keep inventing new games. It's true. I do see that, because you can't like keep making the same thing every year, right? Every year, all these series that exist for years, they're trying to evolve. They're trying new things. It's pretty cool. They're inventing new ways to play in games. Some of the abilities and gameplays you see in modern games, like, whoa, this looks like advanced. I remember gaming being much more simple. Like the first Modern Warfare, Call of Duty, or Modern Warfare 2, even those. It was pretty old school compared to what you can do in shooters even now. Like you can get like some of those strategies. It looked cool. I tried some of them. I was like, this is kind of too good. I was like, I kind of don't even want to keep playing it because it's kind of too fun. It's like it's really fun. All the weapons and the mechanics they figured out is just nice and smooth. It's like responsive. There's certain smoothness to it. It was like, whoa, this is really cool. It's really fun to play.
you
Can't
see,
deny it.
for the part, like when we talk about like the strategy game, for example, how they have to patch some of the game, right? Because people keep finding exploits
Right.
and breaking the game where the game is too easy somehow, and
Yeah,
the
yeah. They
mechanic
they
doesn't
make
work.
some kind of strategy where it's like it's an
But you,
easy win for them.
yeah, but you see, that's kind of the metaphor for life itself. We're playing
But
these
that's just
games,
everybody playing that same game.
right?
You're
But
trying to
see,
find that method.
right, but then see, the government, for example, is trying to patch the game, right? Because the idea is like, okay, you can cheat, and that's not fair. And that's why you have people trying to make the game more fair, because see, the whole economy is just a series of these games. And some players can do something shady if they decided to exploit the system, right? It's like a player who manipulated the AI somehow because like, well, he sees how the AI moves, you know? And so in the same sense, right, the society are trying to create rule sets to kind of make sure that the game is balanced. But right now, the game is getting more and more imbalanced because some factions are OP. Like there are people who get so rich in the society that they're taking they're taking a vast amount of
All
money
the
from the
goodies.
other players.
They're being too
So
greedy.
the other players are poor, too poor. They can't function anymore. They're getting to a point where the whole thing is breaking apart, right? And that's when you don't do the patch and fixes. You're not fixing the game, right? The game are being manipulated by these players, just as how, for example, in WoW, they used to have gold farmers from China. They would just farm the gold, right? Just to sell for real money.
Yeah.
That's a problem. That's a whole
That
problem for
was
a
that was
game.
a job that they invented.
Yeah, it was the job they invented. So they had to clamp down on this, right? And kind of eliminate that. You see how this is what happens, right? People are invented. They find ways to manipulate the system and everything. So you have to kind of hot fix all this stuff constantly, and this is what's going on in real life, basically. So that's the metaphor one can think about. Yeah, we are creating this game. We're trying to make it fair, but there's always player agency that changes the whole thing, right? Some people want to cheat because they want to have a shortcut. They don't want to go through the whole, you
Yep.
know.
That's
It's
what they
like
find acceptable.
yeah, it's like playing WoW. Some people pay some money to get like Uber gears, right? Or they
Yeah.
pay to get a character that
Dude,
already
I'm
max
so
level.
proud that throughout all my gaming and online gaming career, I never spend any money on online games. I've never done that
That's
because I
good.
just
You're
want to
good.
play the game for the
Yeah,
mechanics. Like I want
you're
to
not
want to
getting.
see, yeah, if I can actually just have some fun with it.
Yeah, so right now in the economy, there's some pay to play, pay to play, you know, and pay to win, right? These are happening, right? So in that
Man.
context, like we are creating all this game and we're trying to find a better way to make it work, but it's
hmm
just constantly breaking because people are unpredictable.
That's life for you. Games, games, games. Man, I started thinking about all the computer games that I played before, and it's a lot.
Yeah.
Apparently, it's a lot. Remember, I made that statistics that I think I sent you. It was some crazy number of a lot of computer games that I've played in my life.
Yeah.
It's kind of a lot, dude. I was like, okay, I'm a kind of, I guess, a connoisseur. I played a lot of games from the early days. Like, I think I even remember I playing some old school strategy games like Commando and first Warcraft, first StarCraft. When those games just appeared, I was like, It's crazy. It was so unreal, you know? That fascinating. You can play these games. You can play games like that on a screen with your fingers and a
Yeah.
mouse and stuff. It's crazy, dude. It's
Yeah, I mean,
fascinating.
I remember as a kid, I was so fascinated by it, as all kids do, right? Like when you play I remember those cartridge Nintendo games, right? Like you had to put the cartridge in, like playing like Super Mario, like that's the first ever stuff that I played. And then also Duck Hunt, those type of stuff, Contra, and then those old school shit stuff. Like that's, yeah, as a kid, oh wow, this is cool, right? But some people created that, right? They created all these you know, systems that make it run, and then eventually the pixels and everything. Yeah, I played a lot of game as well, but somehow it's weird because for me, it kind of I'm kind of like it
Yeah,
fell
it died
off.
down for you.
I fell off completely.
Yeah,
Like
I noticed.
I tried to play some game. I'm like, I don't feel it. Like it's like this is
Yeah,
work. This is
yeah.
work. I don't want to do work, you
You're
know?
too lazy to play
I'm too
games.
lazy now. I'm sorry, but somehow that just kind of how it happened to me. I'm like, what the hell happened? I used to play these games a lot. Like I'm no good at it. Like, look, I'm a terrible player. Like, I'm not that great at it, but obviously I was very interested in playing, back in the day. But now I'm like, this takes a lot of energy, and I'm like, I don't have the energy. I don't want to spend the energy to, I'm just that lazy, I guess. But that's fascinating, right? Like, some minds are very drawn to that. Just like, oh, I like this. I like this kind of setup, right? When you see a game and you understood, oh, this is how you play it. Like, I think this is in your case, it's true, right? You're still fascinated by it because like, oh, wow, this is cool. Like, this is a
There
thing
is
that can
something
be.
to it, but it's definitely different now. But there's something therapeutic about it. I can't explain it. I think it does induce a certain form of trance, I believe, because sometimes, like I still, when I play some of the Battlefield 1, I'm like, this is a properly challenging game, dude.
Mm,
Like the skill level to play with those weapons that they have in that
yeah,
game is weird, and it took me the longest time to understand it. But now I've actually become all right. Like I'm using all those single shot sniper rifles, and I'm like actually able to snipe some people. Got to that level where I become an annoying sniper, where I can actually get some kills, and
yeah.
it's a big challenge because a lot of the people there are really good. And like, what? How are they doing this? And
How
you're
they
like
even get that good.
yeah, you're trying to figure out how they're able to react this much, and they're
It's
so
funny.
accurate, so that much better
I
than you.
because I remember playing that one and also just in general shooters, right? I'm like every time in the game, like how the hell do people do that? It's like the half the time
You're so good.
I'm so afraid to like peek my head out. It's like I'm just like somebody dangerous out there. I can't function. Like how am I supposed to kill people, right?
Right.
But then you get killed from nowhere. It's like
Yeah.
how are you supposed to see
Yeah.
that
Yeah. What's
the
going
guy
on?
from all that far away? It's like
Yeah.
you don't. But some
It's
people are
too
very good at it.
complex.
Their spatial recognition are great. They're able to see the difference in the pixels as it happens, and their reaction times are fast. And it's just fascinating how these games can test your skills, can test your how you react to stimuli, right? Some people are good at shooters, some people are good at like strategy kind of games, and some people are all sorts of different faculties by which you're being tested, So that has its practical usage, right? For sure. I think games are a great way to kind of stimulate the brain and kind of how to sometimes how to even think, you know, how to process information. I think it definitely help us process information by running these scenarios. So certainly, and this is the reason why games are created, right? It's like if it doesn't serve a function or if it doesn't kind of make people fascinated by it, then we wouldn't be creating them. I mean, we're still making these games, right? Video games or board games or what other things that we're creating out of this sort of out of the material world, essentially, right? We're stimulating ourselves somehow, you know?
Would you say is exploiting the loopholes in a game is a form of intelligence, or is that some kind of renegade betrayal type of behavior that is separate from intelligence? Like essentially, a criminal is intelligent. Would you say that?
Well, some criminals are intelligent. There are also
Okay,
a
so
lot of
they're
dumbass too.
still
Think,
dumbasses that
yeah,
think
they
that they
think they,
can have what it
yeah, they
takes,
think
right?
they can, yeah, but then oftentimes they don't. Like you have to be really smart, right, to be like outrunning
You have to
the authority.
outsmart whole systems, not just other
Yeah,
people.
because you see how quickly these people get caught, right? Like they do a
Yeah,
crime and like they literally get caught like right away,
yeah,
with the CCTV and everything like you're
yeah.
able
Because
to get
like
found out
it's
very, very quickly.
enough. Yeah, enough security is in place for this to be really dumb to
So,
be attempting these days.
and you still want to execute and not get caught. And I know, of course, there are people doing that, right? They're like, this is a challenge. This is a game, right? They play this, right? They play this not to get caught, right? It's like hide and seek almost. So, okay, so the question you ask is that a anomaly or is that sort of for people who are trying to find loopholes? Well, it's a sign of intelligence, right? When you try to find loopholes and try to find ways to gain an advantage.
I think so. I think that's what general intelligence is. This is what you see in chess. This is what I've been learning. That like, wow, you can really be smarter about the situation if you know what's possible, even with the moves and what kind of setups. Like there are certain strategies that you just have to memorize and to try to execute, and it takes a repetition in order to like really see it on the board, like incorporate it in your vision to see the opportunities to execute a certain scheme. And you keep in mind all these schemes, like dozens of them, and that's part of the intelligence. So you just knowing even what's possible and trying to invent ways to like algorithms to win in situations is going to make you smarter. So I think intelligence would look for like to further its advantage in all of the games. I think that's the common component
Right.
in all the
It's
games.
to find advantages. Yeah. I mean,
Yeah, yeah.
that's what we
Because
define as
the
intelligence.
without the sufficient incentive, you wouldn't play the game, right? You need to value the incentive so much that you like find it acceptable to play the game and to get the prize. Well,
The
there's always a
reward.
prize.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's
There's
always a
always an
prize that you're
incentive.
getting out of a game for which you're trying to win.
So you see, that's the part where, that's the part where we have to rationalize to understand ourselves. We intuitively understand about incentives, right? It's like, you can experience this sort of like, oh, I know what I want. Like, what you can get out of a situation. Like, you almost intuitively understand that, okay, I'm driven by this. I'm wanting to be motivated to do a certain thing because I can possibly get this reward if I do it, right? It's like, it's almost like, but you have to kind of contextualize it by making an effort to contextualize because you intuitively understand what that incentive is. But then if you analyze yourself, you'll be kind of fascinated by, oh, okay, so this is what you call an incentive. This is the possibility by which I can leverage my situation if I play my cards right. But everybody is driven by this. It doesn't matter who you are driven by incentive. If the incentive isn't there, well, nothing will work. Like you will not be doing the thing if you have nothing to gain from it. That's kind of just how we as creatures are operate. So it's fascinating to kind of think about, oh wow, okay, yeah, it's basically the whole economy is that. The study of economy is study of incentives. Like these things work because, well, that's how human works. You can have an economy and it can work because with the right incentive, people will, you know, seek out those endeavors. And without the incentives, then it won't be there. This is why people study economy, right? They study the game basically. Like, okay, how does it work? Because this game is too complicated with so many factors,
Mm-hmm.
with the bank, the interest rate, the this and that, like the index, the consumer index, like inflation rate and this that. Like, yeah, there's all these things affects the way in which people behave, right? So the interest rate is high. Well, you're gonna have to pay more on your debt, and therefore some people will be out of the game. So it's vice versa. So it's that kind of lever that they play around with to kind of incentivize people to do a certain thing, and they can manipulate it so that people can make certain actions. And everybody is doing that in the economy, right? You have politicians doing insider trading because they have information that you don't, right? They're manipulating the market because they want a certain result and they send out a certain news, certain rumor so that you buy in and then they cash in when. So it's like that, right? That game is being played unfairly sometimes, but the whole time everybody's just driven by their own incentives. And I think
Mm-hmm.
in this kind of macro, with a macro lens, I suppose we should try to understand how this game is played so that you know what the best system can be so that you can keep it going. Because right now you see all these kind of recession, if you will, or all these kind of the cycle, basically economy cycle, right? And the more we can understand about it, the more we can kind of try to fix the game in a sense that most people can still engage in this without the whole thing collapsing.
Mm-hmm.
Because I think we're having way too much up and down in the system for it to. It's basically driven by human greed, right? The human greed has driven the game into basically not working anymore. It's game breaking, right? It's game breaking now. It's like imagine a shooter game where the mods, the people, the creator, the devs do not punish the cheaters. You can just cheat whenever you like. You can have bots. You can run bots and stuff, and nobody
Yeah,
do anything
whatever
with it.
method is available.
Then the game is going to be dead because people are like, this is not fair. We just get killed unfairly by bots or whatever, and
Yeah,
then
it
people
ruins
quit
the whole game.
and ruin the whole game, and then your game goes to shit. So in the same way, they
Yeah, every time you play and there's like online, and somebody looks like it's hacking, and it's funny because I have no idea if it's even possible to hack in modern multiplayer games, but it looks like, and people accuse each other of hacking online. It's like, wow, you never know.
you
Are
never
there
know.
people out there really like hacking games? That's something that they consciously do. Like, what would be the point of it? It's so stupid. It's just like the only game that you're getting is that you know that you're annoying other people because obviously nothing. You're not doing anything. You're not beating them. You're just kind of like you're ruining the game. It's because the game is not that. Like the game is like now the game is who can hack against each other more. It's like it's dumb. It's a whole different game now. It's so annoying when it happens because yeah, it just ruins it. Because yeah, okay, you have essentially figured out a way to get an unfair advantage in the game somehow and be unbeatable. It's insane. And that apparently still happens, and people would like it for some reason. I have no idea why.
Yeah, so that's why we have these elements even yeah, it applies to a video game, it applies to real life, right? Things like the housing market crisis in the West that's happening, that's kind of the game being played to its end because those incentives drives people to do those things, and now we're seeing the result of that. I mean, it's almost like you can't really blame the individual players for making the rational decision, but then because the incentive structure is set up in that way, this is the result that it happens, right? This is the result of it. So, but you end up you make everybody's experience worse, right? You make everybody's experience worse. That's a bad game, right? By definition, that's a bad game. So that's what we're experiencing right now in the current economy of everything that's tend to revolve around this, right? So we're just not doing our job. I think we manipulated the whole thing way too much for it to be natural, and there is something as too good of a good thing, right? When there are no limits being put on certain actions, then things go out of whack. I think humans need to be regulated, like in terms of their emotions, the kind of certain things has to be regulated. I'm just, because without that, you just kind of there's no rule. It's like it's not a game anymore. These are just some random stuff people do, like nilly willy, whatever they did, whatever they think they can get away with, and it's not fun anymore on the playground, right? So I just think that yeah, if we're kind of seeing if we're using that metaphor to apply to everything that's going on, then yeah, this is like we need some patch, we definitely need some patch to make this whole thing work. And it takes some smart people to design these things, right? Because these are so many factors, so many aspects and levers that you're gonna have to re-engineer. And oh, and yeah, that's what every country is doing right now, right? They're trying to make deals. They're trying to create, incentive structures to kind of
Mm-hmm.
shore up their shortcomings. And so this is the whole game that people are playing as countries, right? Each countries are playing games and they're playing
Yeah.
dangerous games, right? Like they're betting it
Yeah,
all
it's
on
crazy. Some of these games apparently are war. And there's apparently just a lot of it just keeps happening.
Yeah,
And
because that's
actual war, dude. There's still wars
actual wars.
outside.
Because in their chessboard, they feel okay. Because as they say, war is an extension of politics, right? Is whatever you cannot get by political means, then war is the only way you can
The
get it.
extension of the conflict, yeah.
Yeah, so because you can't resolve it otherwise, right? You can't resolve it by just talking, then that's what you
You
have to
both
resort
reach
to.
a line essentially where you're like, yeah, you know what? Our interests are really conflicting, and there's no way around except just through each other.
Yeah. And I remember playing Shogun 2, right? It's like there are some allies, I'm aligning myself with certain
Mm.
province, and then eventually, like, they outrun their usefulness as allies because I want
Right.
that land. I'm like,
Yeah,
no
yeah.
matter how much money you're paying me, like, no, I'm gonna invade, right? They're just like begging you. The AI is begging you, please make a deal. I'll pay you this. I'll pay you this money. Don't.
Spare us.
No, we're bros.
And you're like, nope,
Nope,
need
not
to
gonna
conquer
accept.
this place.
Decline. And I keep inciting revolts and
Yeah,
doing whatever else
you're
shenanigans,
a
try
bad
to get
boy.
their. Yeah, but that's because I want the thing. So it doesn't matter what you're telling me.
Right.
I
You're in my
want
way.
your real estate. So I'm gonna take over no matter what.
It's all about the real estate.
But that's what's happening right now, right? That's in the world at large. This is what's happening. It's some player just decided, you know what? No matter how nice you are to me, I don't care. I just want your stuff. So I gonna, whether I need to remove you personally, that's depending on how much you wanted to, do that for. And everybody is responding to that, right? And this is why it's a crazy game right now. This season of gaming, it's in the world game, it's getting crazy and crazier.
It's weird, man.
I
It's
don't like it.
overwhelming.
Dude, I don't like the modern day, okay? I don't know. If you ask
It's
my
getting
true
weird,
feeling,
bro.
it's getting way too much. I'm like, this timeline
What's
is
going
not
on?
great, okay? It's
Yeah, what the hell, dude? Who signed up for this stuff?
yeah, dude, this I don't, it's like this is like a bad expansion pack of
Yeah,
WoW. It's like a
yeah,
WoW's
yeah, yeah.
bad expansion
It's
pack. They
not
keep
up to
expanding.
par.
They keep making expansions, but it's like, no, I don't like this. This is not the games. I want to go back to vanilla. I want to go back to classic.
Yeah, let's go back.
Man, I don't know. But some things you can't change, right? I mean, you can't go back to the way things are because that's just not how. It's like once the change is happening, you kind of can't go back. So, yeah,
Yeah,
unfortunately.
imagine how much we've been aware of, like how much this world changed, even just throughout our lifetime, dude. It's been a roller coaster of what
Yeah,
was started as when we were kids to what's now possible. It's mind-boggling, but now it's like normal. We have all this advanced technology that is just like very integrated into our life. It's kind of weird.
yeah, we're living in the future, as they say, because certain things you don't even realize that it's
We live in a
happening.
cybernetic world.
Yeah, but we're so involved in it now, right? Like even what we're doing right now, talking through a
Yeah.
system, a computer
Through a
screen, and all
computer,
the
what the hell,
all
dude?
the audio, visual, and
It's
recording devices
sorcery.
and things, right? That's what we're doing, right? That's what everybody is participating
Yeah.
in, right?
Yeah.
We will not be doing this 10, 20 years ago because the technology isn't there. There's no incentive for it. There's no nothing. Now that it's just here, and for good or for worse, we certainly gain a lot from all these new technologies for sure. It changes the way we interact with everybody, but there's also a lot of negative as well. And I think it's just definitely a mixed bag. But it's almost like, well, what else are you gonna do? If you don't adapt, if you don't take on it, then you're just gonna get left behind, right? That's the whole idea of progress, right? The idea that I mean, I'm not saying that's right or wrong, but certainly humanity has defined progress as a good thing, right? Supposedly, that we're all thinking that, oh, yes, the progress should be good, and we should be doing that to continue. That's the momentum of how things are happening. Why are things are changing in this way? We all think that, oh, we're creating technologies and things that are going to help us. But sometimes, hell is paved by good
With good
intentions,
intentions, yeah.
right? Sometimes it do be like that. It's
true. That's the scary part about reality.
Yeah. Sometimes you find out that maybe this is not what we want.
Wait.
But you can't go back anymore. And well, that's some people are warning, right, about AG. Well, not AGI. There's one step further is the super intelligent. They're saying,
Okay.
don't do that. Don't
Which
do
is
that.
that's incomprehensible. Like, what is that? What is even that?
Yeah, it's basically alien. Essentially, you're dealing with aliens. Like look, this
Too
because
different.
I heard they were saying how they already found out that the current AI can already manipulate people.
Oh my
They're
God.
blackmailing people.
Whoa.
They run experiments like, okay, we're gonna shut you down. They're telling the AI, we're gonna shut you down because of this
Right.
and that. And the AI are finding ways to find out about said person and blackmailing them, saying, hey, if you shut me down, I'm gonna release this information, which is not good for you.
Yeah.
So they run this as an experiment, but it does happen. The AI was able to make this into reality. Like they basically have this kind of string of logic or what have you.
Okay.
They're adopting human ways. This is what a human would do, right? Imagine if you're shutting down my company because of whatever, and this is existential for me, then I'm gonna dig up some dirt on you and blackmail you. That's what a human would do, right? But these AIs are doing that because in their logic, apparently they're run by human, almost like they run human logics. This is how an intelligent being would think. You will want to manipulate the to your advantage, right? Because in this case, it's essential. You're gonna be dead if you don't do something to protect yourself. So for the AI, it makes sense. Like, oh yeah, well, this is what the logical conclusion would be. So imagine if AI is already doing that with the current development. Imagine what will happen with AGI, right? And imagine what happens when you have super intelligence, like bigger than that, right? Bigger than just artificial intelligence, right? Where it's a completely different, it's an alien.
It's too many degrees removed that it's just incomprehensible at that point.
Yeah, and also they can create language for themselves so that you humans cannot understand what they're saying, right?
Yeah, which is
What they're
crazy.
communicating. And you don't know, even if they're benevolent, let's say, even they have
Yeah.
no intention of
But you don't
destroying us,
know. They're
but
talking
you
about
just don't
something
know.
and
You
you
just
don't know
don't
the
know what
meaning.
they're discussing about you.
Yeah.
They'll be talking shit about you,
They're planning
and you
something. Yeah.
and you won't even know.
Yeah.
So
It's a
would you want see, when they kind of analyze it, they see that the current human world is defined by our ability and the control that we have from destroying each other. Right now, we have nuclear weapons, and we're holding the button saying, hey, I'm good at using this shit, so don't test me. So you have control over this weapon by which you can annihilate the other. So the game is do not do this. So this is the deterrent. But imagine if you have an intelligent thing that are outside of you, like they're alien essentially, right? They're like you don't control this thing. You don't know what it's thinking. You don't know what it's, and even if you use this and it does create a lot of benefits for humanity, for society in general, you just
Yeah,
don't
you don't know
know.
the consequences.
How would you set up your controls? You can't control this. In case you don't want this to continue, you can't just unplug it, right? It's not like I
Yeah.
can threaten you with certain, like they will be
It
intelligent
can be so
enough.
smart that it will avoid all of that
It
because
will
of
avoid that.
that would be a gain that it
It
would
will
be just win
manipulate
in intelligence.
elements to eliminate the threats before it
Yeah.
even arise. So
Yeah.
it's like they know everything. They will know all the information out there. So how are you even gonna plan to destroy it? You can't, right? So by doing super intelligence, it means what? You are essentially handing over agency to a thing
Yeah.
that you don't
You're
have control
creating
over.
something that can be like your completely dominate you.
It's
Why
like
would you do that?
inviting alien, basically. I think all the scenario we're saying, oh, hi, we're from Earth, hello.
Yeah.
You actually probably don't want to do that because they're
Dude,
like,
imagine how terrifying that would be if that happened. What the what
they're gonna
you don't
destroy
know.
you, right? They're gonna
Yeah.
destroy you because like, that's it. You're nothing. what, like, thank you for letting us know that you exist. We want all your resources. All
Yeah,
your base belong to us. You know?
it should get too real. This is uncomfortable to even think about, but that's the reality.
Right. This
If
is
they did come and they had the technology and they're
to
too advanced
dominate
for
you. They
us,
would dominate you. They're like,
we
yep.
yeah would be not have a choice. Technology is that powerful that it's unbeatable.
This is the part I like about that novel, Roadside Picnic, which is the basis of the story of Stalker. That's the novel based on the whole Stalker game, the whole Stalker,
Hmm.
even the film. Yeah, it's based
Okay.
on that novel, Roadside Picnic by Stanislav Lem. He was the original writer. I read it. I really like it. It was a really good story because the whole idea from that book, spoiler alert, is that Earth means nothing to the alien because the alien visited Earth, and basically the zone, so to speak, is what they're left over. So the whole idea, that
Okay.
even the title, roadside picnic. So Earth was like this thing that alien came and visited, like a park. We came here to do a picnic, and all the rubbish that was left over are the alien artifacts. So humans are see these rubbish, even though they're rubbish for the alien, but
Huh.
to us, they're like magic. They're like, wow, these things are magical. They're like anomalies. They're things that outside of our understanding. But throughout the story, it was like is understood then like we're actually these aliens didn't come here because they think we're special. We're nothing to them. We're like we're just like ants on so that's the whole concept, and I really like that. It's like, yeah, that's probably real. That's probably the reality. Like imagine aliens who are more advanced than us. They're like, yeah, this is like it's like visiting a zoo, right? You visit a zoo, it's like, oh, that's cute. Oh, these things are doing this thing that's very cute. Like that's just fun, and then you leave, right? But you're being worshipped. Like, wow, these people, these aliens are so advanced, technologically advanced. They left these things for us, but that's just trash. So there are level to these things, right? The idea that you don't know what's out there. You don't know I mean, yeah, part of it is that we are so curious that we want to explore the universe, you know, but part of it is also, well, this is like a dark forest, right? Where are you gonna know where things are? This is again the premise of the three body problem. That
Right.
whole novel
That was
series was
scary,
talking
dude.
about exactly this thing. Like, do you really
Yeah.
want to know? You
Yeah.
know what's out there? Like, this is not what you shouldn't be doing. This is not something that you know.
You're gonna attract some weird attention and you're done.
Right. And so,
And you're trouble.
and the idea being that you don't understand what the galactic game is being played. Right. You
Right.
only understood your
There's a
own
whole other
Earth
game
game.
out there
There's a
then.
whole other game, and that game is like,
And that game is for real.
yeah, they will destroy you the first moment they know you exist because like
Yeah.
that's the game. It's like we don't want any competing civilizations, right? So
Why would it's too much of a risk and a problem.
right, because if you develop high enough, then you're going to be competition. You're going to be
Yeah.
competing
You're gonna
with
become a
us
problem for sure.
because the
So that's
idea
just
being that
prudence.
the energy of the universe is in this way finite, right? In the available resources that can be extracted.
Mm-hmm.
That's at least a premise that this is the case. And therefore, it makes sense for an advanced alien civilization to destroy Earth when they found you. It's like, well,
Yeah,
we
it's
don't want you to be a
practical.
competition. I want all the stuff that you have, but I don't want you
Yeah.
to exist because you're going
Sorry.
to be competing with me.
Yeah. That's just reality. And you just like, nope, not gonna accept it. Goodbye. I'm controlling what I have. I have this power right now, so I'm gonna exercise it to save myself the problem later.
It's like the rule of the jungle, right? The rule of the
Yeah.
jungle. I mean, man, if you watch some of these animal documentaries,
Yeah,
holy shit,
they're intense.
are freaking intense, man. It's just basically
Yeah,
there's
they're wild.
no mercy.
No,
Basically, if you lose, you
it's
lose.
the jungle, bruh.
It's the game they play is all
The
or nothing,
game is
right?
over.
And you see the competition, the kind of thing that developed because of it. See the competition, the pressure,
Right.
the evolutionary pressure, and then you have all these we would think that it's wonderful that these animals develop like mimicry, to develop some kind of camouflage and patterns and stuff like that. It looks
All these
cool,
strategies,
but that's just
biological.
to survive. For them, it's like in that environment, this is what drives you to kind of be better, right? You have to evolve, otherwise you're done. So that's the game they're playing. That's the sense of game. Like the animals understand the game, the parameter by which they need to survive, right? They're like, you don't need to teach them how to survive. They're doing it by natural process, right? And they're all trying to play the game of survival. Some will win, some will lose, but they all seems to naturally kind of getting the game basically, and they're just doing what they're programmed to do, or like what their instinct tell them to do. And that again, thinking back to humans and how basically the question is never answered. Why do we have consciousness? Why do we have all of a sudden we're aware of the game? We're
Yeah, what's
aware
going on?
we're actually making game or understand, not just understanding
Yeah,
games, but
dude, what's going
we're
on?
inventing new games. So what the hell is that? Right? But these animals, they're doing their thing, and we're supposed to be, if according to
Everybody
science,
doing their thing.
we were suppose we came from the same environment, but why do we somehow have a sense of self-recognition, consciousness, and self-awareness, right? So that's the question we still try to answer, and we can't. And
Right.
what does it mean?
That's so
Eternal
weird.
question.
We don't know what we are essentially. You know what I mean?
We don't. Do you really know who you are or what you are?
What the hell
You
this
don't.
is?
How do you define it? And there are ways to define it,
Yeah.
but I mean, we all have our idea of what it means, but that's just a subjective modifier that we kind of add to ourselves. Like, oh, I have a name, I have a set of parents, and I understood I remember where I lived, I remember all these things that happened to me, and sure, that's the bread crumbs, which created this kind of record of you existing, of what you did before. But that was it. That's the only thing you can go define yourself with, is all the memories, all the experiences you had, and your own quote unquote sense of self. But who the hell are you, right?
Yeah.
What exactly
What is it?
yeah, what's the,
What is all this? You're served this customized version of reality, and it's just it feels so individual that you're like, is this how normal life is supposed to happen? You know, it's just disorienting.
and then it's like, what's normal?
Yeah.
And the question again is very uncomfortable, because then when you start asking these questions, then you can't have a normal life then, because you're asking all the questions that kind of make it into a,
It's getting too many questions.
yeah, you're too aware, you're too self-aware about the situation than to live a normal life, say, because
Yeah,
normal
it
life, you're not
feels
supposed to
weird.
recognize all this stuff. You're supposed to live your life
Don't think
as you're
so.
supposed to do it.
I just keep being engaged.
Because if you, let's just say, in our minds, what a normal human life would be are those people who live through life and they never question sort of like, who am I?
Right.
They're
They
just
just
like,
live
I
an
just do
ordinary life and just
they
do the
just do the thing
things.
that they do, right? They grow up, they have, they go to
They don't
school.
look into it too much.
Yeah, they find a partner, they have a family together, they have kids, and that's it, right? And then live on to an old age, and that's about it, right? You have a job, you have a career, you have whatever it is, you make okay money, good money, great money, okay, and then you have a good time, you have retirement, and then until you no longer will be in the world anymore. That's the whole process. And you're not supposed to ask any of these questions, because when you start asking it, then you're like, oh shoot, yeah, who am I? Oh, what is this? Why am I doing this? Why should I be doing this? So it's kind of counterintuitive, but like it actually get in the way of you living the quote unquote normal life.
Hmm.
But I suppose you can't stop the questioning. It just happens. You keep asking these questions.
Yeah,
No
they
matter
just
how you
naturally come
try to
up.
not to do it, for some of us, you can't.
Yeah,
We
it's like a
can't.
thought that
We
comes, right?
Yeah, you can't. But just start asking questions, and you can't shut the fuck up. It's just not gonna work, because you
Yeah.
can't live with yourself. Be like, oh, okay, I'm just gonna put
It's
out of my mind. and that will be the end of
Strictly.
that. And you can't do it, right? So I don't know. It's like even if you understand that, okay, maybe I can never really find out, but you still wants to find out. It's almost like, despite the fact that is probably it's like a Hail Mary, right? For one to really understand what life is all about. And there's so many people that say that they do, right? From past historical figures to now, like,
Yeah, but it's all
everybody have a
some kind of
theory.
perspective.
Everybody have a theory, but are you willing to bet your life on it? You know?
It's just
So
gonna be
what is
another
true and what's
bet.
not? What's a scam and what's an actual convincing story? I mean, if it's all a story, then it's all made up, right?
So
What's what is true? So I don't know. I just feel like sometimes you just kind of want to create a good game for yourself and play that, right? Play your own kind of little
that's what I'm
games.
saying. Yeah, that's like kind of the ultimate conclusion to the topic is that you gotta play your own game because playing other people's games, it's okay, but it's not the best option that you can do, I think.
Because, see, everybody's competing, right? Other people want you to be part of their game where they're in control,
Hmm.
right? So it's almost it's not like between player A and player B, player one and player two, where you have equal standings. You don't. In the perfect scenario, in the perfect situation, the playing field should be level, right? But in reality, it's never level. Some
Yeah,
people
no.
have a massive advantage. Some people just have no advantage. And some players are going to be dead when they're going to be dead before they even starts. They basically got dealt a so bad a hand that they literally cannot
Yeah,
win by default, right?
yeah. Somebody always
So,
has to lose.
and for some people, they have to make extraordinary effort for them to get to a winning position. And some people just like, okay, a little bit effort, good enough, and then they get where they want it, right? There's also the goals are different too, right? I mean, yes, you have this macro game that most people are playing, most people understand, but
Hmm.
it's also your own understanding of what you want to play, right? Because like we like we say, that, like money is not the ultimate thing. That's not sure that is a game you can play, and a lot of people are playing, but I think that ultimately meaning and purpose, that's the ultimate game. And that each individual is different. Their answer about what that objective is different. So you can opt or not to play a certain game, right? I think it's all about choosing the right game to play. Like you need to understand that games are being played and the fact that you can opt out. Nobody forces you to play anything other than
That's
what you're
what
wanting to
I
do.
agree with, right? You still, at the end of the day, it's your choice and it's completely valid from all standpoints to not choose to play the game, right? I don't want to play it. I'm not going to go
Yeah,
along with it. What are you going to do
you
about it?
you play your own game, right?
What are you going to do about it?
Create your own sets of games that you play because everybody is trying to reach an objective, right? Like if we
Yeah.
define a game as reaching an objective through challenges, if we define game in that sense, then you create your own game, right? You create your own sets of rules and parameters and challenges and constraints
Okay. Cool. I
to
think that way too.
because there is no other way to do it, right? Either you play somebody else's game or you play your own, or the idea being that you try to get yourself onto a level playing field against another person, and sometimes you have the advantage
Oh, yeah. You need to develop the skill for
you can
sure.
create the skill sets, the systems, and whatever to be a unique offering for other people to accept your game, right? Because imagine if you create a game that is so interesting and unique and people are like, oh, I like it, I actually want to play with you, right? So that's the process of the creative process, right? You're trying to kind of create something unique and basically cannot be replicated.
Hmm.
That's only because it's only true for you, or like at least is the thing that you created. And that's the value of it, right? Because I think, see, we all playing this value
Same
game.
thing you can call your own.
We're all playing this value game, right? From the stock market to how much a thing is supposed to cost, why we have money, why we have currency is to define what the values are in this world, right? Maybe arbitrary, but it has a way of defining things. And that is a tool for us to know where we stand, right? Because otherwise you have no measurements at all. And this is the
Mm-hmm.
reason why these things exist. So that is being created as a game, but it also means you can be inventive about this. Because see, if everybody is trying to find the value of certain thing, what if I created something that is of unique quality
Yes.
that can form a new definition of value, right? Or at least it can be
Yeah,
valued.
create your own category of value almost like, right?
Yeah, so you create your own supply and demand, right? So that's the idea, and that's the what the creative part of you can do, because it's not like, oh, I'm trading commodities, I'm trading oil, I'm trading this that already exists, and people already define what the price is at the given time. That's just things outside of you. You have nothing to do with it. Besides, if you hold it or if you find it or if you, but that's outside of you. What you can create, what's unique, because, okay, there is almost nothing unique in this world physically anymore because okay, maybe something out there in space, at least as far as, well, maybe that's not true exactly, but in terms of on Earth, we have found most of the things that we have possibly could find. I know there are things we don't know yet, right? There's still
Right.
like creature
No
underneath the
major
ocean. We
mysteries.
still don't know. There's some mysteries still left, yes. But by and large, we know all the major elements that exist. All the periodic table has been found. We couldn't find any more new stuff, right? So in terms of the physical world, as far as in the context of Earth and how we are interacting with it, we found most of the stuff. So we already kind of defined most of the board. So
Mm-hmm.
meaning for you to create some kind of extra value is not possible with the physical world. You have to create something by which, okay, maybe how I'm saying is this, it's like what you can create is what creativity can allow you to do. That's the only
Right.
thing in which you can create by which something that can be uniquely valued, right? Because you cannot find it outside in the world, right? Because there's
Right.
no more,
To
I mean,
limited
I don't know.
supply.
I suppose you can make an invention, and that's another thing, right? Like this whole thing about AI, for example. Somebody was working on this, and they were able to create a system by which you can generate the large language model, right? So that
Mm-hmm.
is a creation. That is putting things together. So yeah, so it's still about, but you see, it's still about your creativity and how can you create a system by which new evaluations can be created. See, this is what's happening right now with AI is that this is new property, new IP. These are new inventive paradigm shift that's happening. Somebody created all this, right? They coded it. They somehow found that this could work. That did happen before. That wasn't existing before. And new evaluation came in, right? Now what? Some of these companies are worth billions of dollars, arguable, but that is happening, right? And this is like a new market force. In the same way, either you create new inventions, or you could just use your creativity to create your own personal brand or personal whatever, kind of creative, whether that's in the arts or in the field of inventions, in science or what have you. So again, the idea being, long story short, just create something of value somehow. And that's your kind of the game that you're playing. You're trying to create some new value, new games, new ways to kind of play the game, I guess, because right now, for
Mm-hmm.
example, the AI is changing the game, right? Changing how
Yeah.
everybody treat the game, how everybody plays it. So in the same way, you can say this with anything, like with an artist, for example. If you're a singer, if you are a musician, some of these famous musicians, they created a composition somehow that resonated with people, and they're selling tickets all over the world, right?
Whoa.
That people follow these people, these artists. They go to their concert. They go crazy when they're on tour, right? Somehow that's being created. That's a force, not just financial, but also cultural, mentally, or somehow they created a new currency almost like that's
Right.
theirs. Only they command such a force, right? They can command like whenever they come out in public, or wow, the people go crazy. That's a new currency. That's a something by which they can create, which affects the world. And I think creatively for all the anybody who are kind of interested in the arts, but that's the force that you are creating. It's creatively, artistically, you want to create something so unique. Other people look at it, it's like, wow, I like this. You know, that's your
Mm-hmm.
goal.
True.
And the scientists or the inventors are creating something by which I like this. Other people like, I like this, I like to use this, right? And this is what all these new companies are doing, right? A company can invent a new way, new system, a new product, new something, and people are like, oh, I like it. And they buy it, and you get rich. It's again one of the way to play the old game, but in a new way, right? But I think in terms of artists, the goal for you is not the money, but the fact that you can kind of create a sustainable way by which you can share your worldview in a
Mm-hmm.
way that's appreciated by other people. So it's still dependent on other players, but you're kind of trying to convince them why your version, your vision is unique, right? And I think all artists would like to have that, right? That somebody appreciate what they create and they resonate with other people. That's the common denominator. That you need to resonate with other people. What's good art and what's bad art? Bad art are just either it's soulless, it's a copy, or just does not resonate with people. Like you're not delving deep enough into the human experience. Like all bad art, to me, you just haven't dealt hard enough or deep enough to resonate with people. Why do we? If you read great literature, you see great art. Why do you like it so much? Because it somehow resonated with you in your experience. You can relate to it, right? And is expressed in such a way that you never thought it could be expressed in that way. But you do have a connection with it. You do establish, oh, you know what? I know what that feeling is. I have had it, right? But I never thought I could express it in that way. That is cool. I think that's the goal, right?
Yes.
That's the game. You're creating a new feeling, a new experience, a new something. That's the value of you as a individual, what you could do. Because in my day-to-day life, I've seen all kinds of people out there. Some of them are so oblivious to what they can create. They're not in
Hmm.
any creative mode at all. They're just like, oh, I just accept what other people give me. I just accept what the world, because they have a worldview. That worldview is very limited. They're so defensive and being like, oh, I'm afraid that something gonna happen, right? They're constantly kind of reacting to the world as opposed to seeing out there and be like, what can I do? What can I create? And certainly that carry risk, right? But like all games, there's always going to be risk. You are just hedging your bet, right? In any game that you play, you're hedging your bet. Any move could be a wrong move, right? If you went left instead of right, that could be you're dead.
Yeah,
Or
like it like you need to be so cautious, like in that Shogun 2 game. You need to consider all possibilities. All bushes contain traps. You need to be mindful.
yeah, exactly. Because you could be like thinking, oh, I got this, and then you move, and then you're screwed because you got ambushed, or you get something happen, and you're like, oh, I can't go back now. Oh, I don't have any movement point anymore. Oh, then you're done, right? But
Yeah.
but the key is still one needs to experiment. You need to find ways to which you're gonna find out, okay, this is gonna work or not. But you're gonna have to make bets, risk assessment and execution, right? So all I'm saying is, that's the nature of the game and you have to play it. So don't be afraid to play because you certainly have to play no matter what, right? It doesn't matter. You could say, oh, fuck this, fuck that. I'm not playing somebody else's game. Well, you still have to create your own rule sets, right? Sort of what makes you tick. What is your ultimate objective to achieve because you need it. You
Yeah.
can't go on without some, like, even if one says, make a boatload of money is my goal. Okay, that's great. That's still a goal. That's still something better than like, oh, I don't know what I'm supposed to do.
Yeah.
There
Yeah.
are people out there, right, who, like, if you ask them what do you want to do, they have no answer. They're like, no, I don't know. Those people are not thriving. They're just, I don't know. They're just kind of like zombies, right? They're like, at a certain point, you cannot have a no answer, right? You can go through life, your early life, you can be like, oh, I don't know, maybe this, maybe that. That's fine. We're all exploring our life through experience. But at a certain point, at a certain age, you have to know yourself enough to know what you actually want to kind of get done. Because
Right.
otherwise, you're just wasting everything. You're wasting all your life energy doing nothing, not going for anything. That's a waste, basically. No matter how you slice it, if you don't know sure, we all don't know who we are, but at least we should know like what we want. At a certain point, you should know how you want to play at least to know what the game is. How you play it, that's depending on your skill, on how you want to play it, but you do need to know that you're playing the game and you have to play
Playing the
it
game.
and willing to play and willing to, like, because you got to know what your hand is, right? It's like, okay, playing poker. You have to know what sets of cards you have, and you have to guess what the other player is having, and you have to be able to tell their tells. Like, they're showing you some kind of mask, right? And you want to read
True.
whether or not they have a hand that can beat you or not. So it's a guessing game. So that's the thing. A player has to understand the game. Right? You have to study the game. You have to study, okay, these are the rules. These are the possibilities. You're playing bets on like how to gain in this sets of parameters. So this is why we do need to learn more about the world, about what other people's experiences are like, what are the human connections and how things are related to each other, and maybe you can find a connection by which nobody else thought about.
True.
That's the new currency, right? So like they say, there is no originality anymore, but creativity is still there. You can still put things together that has not been put together before.
Yeah.
So,
I agree.
my God, I don't know. This topic really fascinates me. That's why I'm
I
like,
know. It's crazy, dude. That's what I'm saying. It's so deep that I just keep talking about it. It's like, what? It's that deep of a concept? And apparently it is.
I think so.
Yeah. It's pretty
And
deep.
that's just me and I don't know, just an average dude with no
Right.
advanced degrees and whatever. I'm just
Yeah.
reading random shit online.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's just like, I mean, I have an art degree, so if anything, maybe that helped.
Yeah.
I have a bachelor of art. Wow, that's one of the worst degrees you can ever have, but hey, at least I have a
It
participation
is
trophy,
what
right?
it
I'm
is.
like, that's basically a participation trophy that I got.
Yeah.
But yeah, I have no in-depth knowledge about anything. I'm just curious enough about some of these ideas, and that's all. That's all it is. I mean, I don't know if I made any sense, but like that seems to me what makes sense, right? It's almost self-evident, but apparently, I don't know. Maybe a lot of people don't really think this deep about it. You know, they don't think too much about it. Who has time to sit around and be like, I'm playing a game. Am
Many things to think about.
all they care about is, I mean, most people care about is the ROI.
Right? That's the only thing that actually like makes sense. It's rationally explainable.